I attest, I insist that Joseph Moreiano was wrongly and unjustly convicted of murder. No matter how long it takes, I'm going to prove it. It will be then, and only then, that the defense rests.
The National Broadcasting Company is proud to present Miss Mercedes McCambridge in The Defense Rests, the first in a new and exciting series of cases from the files of an outstanding woman attorney, Martha Ellis Bryant. When young, attractive Martha Ellis Bryant chose law as a career, she was expected to take advantage of her prominent family background and attend to the minor legal needs of the rich. Instead, she accepted the challenge of defending the defenseless. Joseph Moreiano was one of the defenseless. So was the elderly, poorly dressed, grimly determined man who came to her office on the night of May 6, 1950. He opened the door without knocking.
Who's there?
Excuse me.
Yes?
I'm looking for Martha Ellis Bryant.
I'm Miss Bryant, but the office is closed. I thought that door was locked.
My friends tell me you are the one I should see.
Yes, well, it's very late, and I was just leaving. I have a dinner engagement.
No, please. I take only a minute. I've come about Joe.
Joe?
Joseph Moreiano. They say he killed a man named Freddie Cellini. You know about this?
No, I don't think I do. When did it happen?
In December 10th, 1939.
1939? Well, that was almost 12 years ago.
Yes. It happened in a restaurant run by Bella Groton. It's down on State Street. You remember now?
No, I'm afraid I don't.
In the back of Bella's restaurant, there was a gambling room. But the police were after Bella, so on the night Freddie Cellini was murdered, the back room, it was closed up tight.
Hi, Bella. I come in to get warm.
Yeah, Freddie. Yeah.
No, honest. That wind out there really cuts you up. Boys, coldest December 10th on record, you know that?
Yeah. Ready to close up. It's late.
Yeah, sure. No customers tonight?
Not the kind of customers you mean.
Oh, sure, I know. Gotta be careful, Bella.
Yeah. Come on out to the kitchen, Freddie. I'll give you something to warm you up.
Okay, all right.
What makes you so nervous?
Nervous? I'm not nervous. What's that?
Someone?
Who is it? Who?
There's a man coming in the restaurant.
Who? Look, Bella, some of the boys have been saying I went to the cops about places like
Shut
this.
up. He's coming back here.
Yeah, but it ain't true. But they're after me, see?
He's got his face covered up. He's got a gun. It's a stick-up.
No. Guns for me. I was warned about it. Look, tell him, Bella. Tell him I didn't do it.
Freddie!
Bella!
Freddie!
So that was the end of Freddie Cellini.
Yes, Mr. Bryant. Nobody really know why he was killed. Nobody much care. He was not a good man. But then one day police come for Joe Moreiano and they say he killed Freddie. Joe is not at home, only his wife and the two bambinos. The police look for Joe, but they don't find him. And then Joe, he's here. The police look for him. He goes to a police station to say he did not do it.
Yes, and then what happened?
Joe's sent to prison for the rest of his life. He's there 12 years now. But he's not do it. I tell you, he's not do it.
Do you have proof?
I am Tony Moreiano. Joe is my son. My son not kill Freddie Cellini. My boy is not a murderer. I know.
Oh, I see. That's your proof.
Well, No, believe me.
Mr. Moreiano, I'm very sorry. I know it's hard for a father to believe, but if he was convicted and sentenced for life, there must have been good reason.
My boy, he don't do it. Someday, somehow he get out. I see to that. I live for nothing else.
Why did you wait for 12 years before taking any action?
My friends, they tell me it take big money to find a man who really killed Freddie Cellini. Now I got the big money. $5,000.
$5,000? That is a lot of money.
Not if it buy freedom for my boy.
Suppose it doesn't.
Well, then somehow I get more. Someday, somehow Joe is a get out.
City desk, Crane speaking.
Hello, Judd. Oh, I'm glad you answered the phone.
Now, wait. Don't tell me. Let me guess. It's Martha Ellis Bryant.
Yeah.
I hate to mention this, old friend, but you stood me up tonight. We had a date for dinner.
Yes,
remember?
I'm terribly sorry, Judd. I'm still at the office. I was detained and I couldn't call.
Another man?
Yes. A man with $5,000.
Well, that's the breaks. But how could I hold your interest forever on a mere reporter's salary?
Judd, listen to
Oh,
me.
don't think I'm bitter. If I can ever be of help...
You can be of help. You can meet me at Bishop's Steakhouse in an hour with some information.
Information about what?
About a 12-year-old murder.
Anyway, after this Freddie Cellini was killed, the police moved in fast. This all had something to do with an official war on small rackets. I guess the cops were afraid his death would cause an outbreak of gang killing. They got a tip on this Moreiano.
Where did it come from?
Well, it was never brought out. At least there's nothing on it in the files of the dispatch. They just got the tip on him, and at first they couldn't find him. Later he surrendered.
That's right. Voluntarily.
Yeah, protesting his innocence every inch of the way. How did you know?
I'll tell you in a minute. The point I'm trying to make, Judd, is this. If a man is innocent, he surrenders to clear himself. Otherwise, he lets the cops find him.
Maybe. But Moreiano was brought to trial.
But on what basis? I think I'll have some coffee now.
Okay. Eddie, some hot coffee for Miss Bryant.
Coming right up.
Well, the basis was confused testimony about what he was doing on the night of the murder. He told one story, the wife another. Then, till he had a record, he was on probation.
Oh?
It was enough to get him life in the state penitentiary.
Life? On such flimsy evidence?
No. Bella Groton cinched the conviction. She identified him as the killer.
She'd have identified anybody as the killer to save her own skin. She was tied up with every petty racket in town. Didn't the court question her testimony?
Oh, Bella was nobody's fool. The minute the police put the heat on, she slapped a padlock on her back room and became respectable citizen number one.
Yes, but even so...
Yeah, but it all boils down to this, Marty. The state wanted to make an example of Moreiano. Like I told you. They didn't want a repeat of the bloody gang wars of 1932.
I still think the sentence
Here's
was a
your
little...
coffee, Miss Bryant. It's nice and hot.
Thanks, Eddie.
You like a little music, too?
Sure.
So how about a nickel?
Okay. Here.
Judd, it was Joe Moreiano's father who came to my office tonight.
The guy with $5,000.
He said he had $5,000. He wanted me to use it to get Joe out of the penitentiary. He says the kid didn't do it, that he was framed.
Come now, you don't
No, he
think
was
it-
so sincere, so on the level.
Why did the old man wait 12
It
years?
took him that long to get the money.
Where'd he get it?
The money?
Yeah.
Well, he didn't say.
Oh. You'd make a fine reporter. There might be a good story here. Do you have old Moreiano's address?
Yes, he gave it to me. He wrote it out on a slip of paper, and I put it in my purse. It's right here, son. Here it is. Oh, this can't be it. This just says Tony, Box 32.
Box 32. Oh, baby, did you get taken?
Taken?
Sure. So sincere. So on the level. If anyone was framed, it was you. Almost.
What are you talking about?
Just this. The old man's probably a front for young Moreiano's mom. They've obviously decided the kid's cooled his heels long enough, So they've cooked up some phony idea to spring him.
I still don't see what that is.
Marty, Box 32 is the post office address of a little village out on the flats near the river. You know the place. It's made up of packing crates, burlap, and busted hopes.
Oh. Pauper's Paradise.
Mm-hmm. Now, how would a guy who lives in Pauper's Paradise get $5,000?
Come on, Judd. Let's find out. We just want to know one thing, Mr. Moreiano. Where did you get the money? The $5,000?
Here, there. It's not important.
No, but it is important. Did Joe have it hidden away somewhere? Or is it from some mob who's trying to spring him?
A mob? No. No, the money is mine. For 12 years I work for it. Day, night. Finally I even sell my home. Why do you think I live here in this place, And now Joe has no home when he get out. But he get out someday. Somehow. I get him out if it take the rest of my life.
Life? That can be a long, long time.
Yes. That's what my boy think when he get a sentence for killing he don't do. Life can be a long, long time.
Hello?
Judd, Marty.
Oh, I've been looking through the paper for your yarn on Moreiano. What's the matter? Isn't a father's faith in his son even good for a human interest story?
Oh, lay off, Marty. I told you how I feel. I don't believe a word the old man said. I still think he's a tool for young Moreiano's mob. The setup just isn't on the level. And I'm not going to write a sob story just to glorify a killer.
Oh. Have you got proof that he is a killer?
They didn't give him life for shooting pool. Besides, he had a record. He was on probation.
Sure, I just read the transcript of the trial. He was public enemy number 1. He robbed a grocery store. He got $2 and a record.
Look, Marty, can you prove he isn't a killer?
I don't know, but I'm going to try.
NBC is bringing you The Defense Rests, starring Miss Mercedes McCambridge as the outstanding woman attorney, Martha Ellis Bryant. An old man's dogged faith in the innocence of his son is a poor substitute for concrete facts. Still, it was that faith, and that alone, that drove Martha Ellis Bryant to state penitentiary, where she is talking to Joseph Moreiano.
You say you're not guilty, Joe. But I read the transcript of your trial. And you couldn't prove your innocence then.
No, ma'am. My lawyer wasn't much good. He didn't even let me understand. He was afraid. I don't know why. But Judge Clinton knew I wasn't guilty. He said so.
The judge who gave you life?
Yeah, in his chambers after the trial.
Oh. He said it after the trial.
You can check on that, Miss Bryant. He'll tell you that it's so.
I'm afraid not, Joe. Judge Clinton died several years ago. Are there any other facts that didn't come out in the trial?
They took me from one police station to another every few hours, taking me around the horn, they call it, so my lawyer couldn't get me out.
Anything else?
No, only Bella Groton.
What about her?
Well, the first 2 times she saw me, she said I wasn't the man. Then all of a sudden she said I was.
Uh-huh. Joe, what about your wife? I'd like to talk to her. Do you ever see her?
No, ma'am. Rosie's dead, too. She died having a baby about 4 months after I got sent up.
I'm sorry. Where are the children?
In a home. I try not to think about them.
Home.
Miss Bryant, do you think you can help me? Do you believe that I'm telling the truth?
For your sake, Joe, you better be telling the truth. Judd?
Oh, hi.
Hi. I'm sorry to bother you here at the paper, but I want to talk to you for a minute.
Sure. Here, sit down.
Well, isn't there somewhere more private?
In a newspaper office? Ah. Is this about Moreiano?
Yeah.
I haven't changed my mind, Marty. I still...
No, Judd, listen. He's innocent. I'd swear to it. Yesterday, he passed a lie detector test.
What kind of proof is that?
I know it doesn't count legally, but it counts with me.
Well, were you able to get any other evidence of his innocence?
No, nothing. Not concrete evidence, that is. But the judge who sent him up told him that he wasn't guilty.
Well, is that Moreiano's word? Or did you check with the judge?
I couldn't check with the judge. The judge is dead.
How handy for Moreiano. So it's just his word.
Yes. And it was just his word that the examining officer tried to get him mixed up on his testimony prior to the trial. They hammered questions at him for hours. Then they forced him to say one thing when he meant another. And they dragged him from station to station so that his lawyer couldn't spring him. And then there was Bella Groton. On 2 tries, she couldn't identify Joe. But the 3rd time, she did.
What do you mean? That was all, just his word. Didn't you examine the police records?
No, that's why I came to see you. I was stopped today from examining those records. Does that mean anything to you?
No, wait, Marty. This conviction was legitimate. It was upheld by the Supreme Court.
I don't care if it was. That boy was put behind bars by an administration that had to get a conviction and couldn't admit it was wrong.
For what reason?
I don't know. That doesn't interest me. But what does interest me is this. Joe Moreiano is doing life for a crime he did not commit. He was a victim of the worst mess of political corruption I have ever seen.
You don't have to write it out for me.
No. I want you to write it out for me.
Martha Ellis Bryant against corruption in Moreiano case. The state's attorney's office today endeavored to stop prominent attorney Martha Ellis Bryant from examining records behind the conviction of Joseph Moreiano in 1939. Miss Bryant says that she was... Police still withholding vital information, says Martha Ellis Bryant. Today, in another exclusive interview with this paper, the well-known woman lawyer who was attempting to reopen the Moreiano case stated that...
Hello?
Judd, Marty.
Oh, I've been waiting for you to call. Gee, how can I ever thank you?
Oh, for what?
For helping me speak my piece through your paper.
Oh, you're always good copy, Marty.
That's nice of you to say so. But the copy has come to an end.
What? You're pulling out?
On the contrary. I just got to look at those records. I found what I was looking for.
Yeah, what?
Oh, it's a Lulu. Uh-oh. Judge Stan Ellenson from the state's attorney's office just walked in the outer door. I'll call you. No, let's get together at the steakhouse about 7.
It's a date.
All right? I'll tell you about it then.
Miss Bryant?
Hello, Mr. Ellenson. Won't you sit down?
I won't take much of your time, Miss Bryant. I think you know why I've come.
Certainly. It's about the Moreiano case.
You've been doing a lot of talking.
I know, and I gather the state's attorney doesn't care much for the things I've said, which doesn't surprise me.
It's not only Hendricks. It's the commissioner and the governor.
I've only told the truth.
You've been smearing the police force and discrediting the present regime for what happened in another regime.
If I have, it's because I want action, Mr. Ellenson.
You're going to get it, Miss Bryant. That's why I came here today.
So that's it, Judd. The governor wants to settle this thing once and for all. He'll set up a special hearing of the pardon board next week, and if I can prove that Moreiano is innocent, he'll get a pardon. And if not, I'm to drop the whole matter at once.
Yeah. But will you?
No. Moreiano is innocent. I know it beyond any doubt.
Your folks want to order?
What? Oh, yeah, a hamburger, Eddie. Well done with everything. And coffee, black.
Yeah, I'll have the same. No onions on the burger.
Cancel the onions on mine, too.
Ah, you sly vixen, you.
Well,
That'd be all.
Yeah, that's all.
No music?
No music.
Okay, so no music.
Now, just what evidence do you have that Moreiano is innocent?
Well, after I got at those records, I found the bailiff of the court where Joe was tried.
Mm-hmm.
And he gave me a signed affidavit that Judge Clinton had promised Moreiano a new trial. Of course, that evidence is inconclusive. Judge Clinton is dead.
Yeah. And the lie detector test is inadmissible.
I know. That was just for my own morale. But I do have the picture I lifted from the police record files.
What picture?
Judd, Bella Groton testified that she didn't see Moreiano from the time of the murder until she identified him on the 31st.
Well?
Well, this picture shows a cop taking Moreiano into a precinct station, and with them is Bella Groton.
Bella Groton. When was the picture taken?
On the 30th, obviously. That's when he surrendered. That's when they were taking him from station to station.
Now, Marty, you can't say obviously it was taken then. You have to prove it.
But it's right.
It could easily have been taken after she identified him. Admit it. You have no evidence. You've got no case.
Well, then I've got to find Bella Groton.
Where? After all the stuff that's been printed, she would have come out to defend herself. If she were around.
She lied. She knows she lied. She's kept hidden so that she wouldn't have to admit it.
Then what makes you think you can change your testimony?
Yeah, I'll meet that problem when I get to it.
Well, how are you going to get to it? That's what I want to know. Where are you going to find Bella Groton?
I got an idea. She used to run around with a fellow who ran a carnival. That's a good place to hide. Those people take care of their own.
Yeah, those outfits float all over the country.
This one floated, but it was a local affair.
But you can't...
I'll find it if I got to cover every carnival in the state. And, Judd, I'd like you to cover me.
What?
Talk to your city editor about it. See if he'll give this search a big build-up in the paper.
Well, I'll build it. Might drive her farther into hiding.
But it might smoke her out. Anyhow, I got to risk it. I've only got a week. Never heard of Bella Groton, huh? Thanks anyway, mister. You were my last hope.
Hey, sister.
You calling me?
Come on over and try the game. Just look at them beautiful prizes. There's a prize with every toss in the ring.
Oh, no, thanks. I don't like to...
Step right up, ladies and gentlemen. Play the game. Hey, are you that Bryant dame, ain't you?
Yes, why?
I've been reading about you. Step right up, folks. A prize with every toss of the ring. You want to know about Bella Groton?
Can you tell me?
Come on, folks. Don't be bashful. Don't be afraid to take a chance. Come on. What's in it for me?
That depends. What do you want?
Me? I want to marry Sam. She should not have took him from me. I told her she'd pay.
Where is she?
Oh, with Sam. They quit the Carney business months ago. She never thought I'd find her. Here you are, sister. The address is on this card.
Thanks. Here's something for you.
Oh, okay. I am much obliged. Okay, folks, let's go now. See the beautiful prizes. Step up and toss the ring, ladies and gentlemen.
Come in. Who are you, sister?
My name is Martha Ellis
Get
Bryant.
out, you're wasting your
I
time.
want to talk to Bella Groton.
Get out, she ain't here.
I only want to know if she could have been mistaken when she identified Joe Moreiano.
I said she
It
ain't
won't do
here.
any good to hide her. I intend to find her, you know.
Oh, that's a good story. Get out.
Now, look.
You caused me enough trouble.
I don't see why it's Bella I want, and she's caused a little trouble herself. I want her to change her testimony about Joe Moreiano. I want her to tell the truth.
She'll never change her testimony. You get that? Never.
Well, why not? Surely she...
Okay, sister, okay. I'll tell you why not. Last week, Bella took poison.
She's dead?
Yeah, she's dead. Out in the graveyard. Now get out of here.
All right. I'm going. I didn't want you to read about it in the paper, Mr. Moreiano. That's why I came out here to tell you. But I'll have to call off the hearing. And you better take that money, get yourself another house.
I still don't understand.
Mr. Moreiano, there's not a chance in the world to get Joe a pardon.
No chance?
No chance. Without Bella Groton, there's nothing I can do. I'm going before the pardon board in an hour and request that the petition be withdrawn.
My Joe is not get out? Not ever?
I'm sorry, Mr. Moreiano. Sorrier than I can say.
Where to now, Miss Bryant?
What? Oh, the State Board of Appeals, Al. 1911 Honora Street.
Okay. Hey, just been reading the afternoon paper. You seen it?
No.
A good article in about a forgery.
Yeah.
Yeah, the cops broke a forgery case by enlarging some writing on a check 1,000 times. They proved...
Wait a minute. Enlarging 1,000 times.
Yeah. What chance the guy got it?
Hey, this picture I've got of Bella and Joe together. Al, take me to the police lab. Fast as you can.
The special hearing of the Board of Pardons is now in session. Where is Miss Bryant? Well, is anyone here to speak for Miss Bryant?
Gentlemen, I'm very sorry to be late. I apologize. Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Miss Bryant?
may I address the board?
You may.
Thank you. As you know, I've been assembling evidence in the Moreiano case. Such debatable items as a lie detector test, a signed affidavit from the bailiff of the court where Moreiano was tried, an affidavit saying that Judge Clinton had promised the boy a new trial.
Well,
I know you're unable to accept these things. You want only evidence. But sometimes the weight of evidence, just because it's on the record, is heavy enough to crush the truth.
We'll discuss the shortcomings of our judicial system some other time.
Yes, I know. All you want are facts, and gentlemen, I have them. About an hour ago, I uncovered conclusive evidence in support of Moreiano's petition.
You may produce the evidence.
Well, gentlemen, Bella Groton is dead. A suicide. What? But she was the one responsible for Moreiano's conviction, and I know that she lied.
Can you prove that?
Moreiano was arrested on December the 30th at 5 a.m. He was not booked until 6 p.m. of the 31st, a day and a half later.
That often happens.
I know, but I ask you to look at this picture. It shows Joe Moreiano and Bella Groton entering a precinct police station together.
Well?
If I prove that this picture was taken on December 30th, the day before Bella Groton identified Moreiano at the police lineup, what then?
In that event, we might be obliged to render a favorable decision.
That's all I wanted to know. The police lab has enlarged a section of this picture for me.
Oh, a close-up of Bella Groton?
No, it's a close-up of a clock on the building across the street from Bella Groton. Will you all look at it, gentlemen?
No.
It proves that Bella Groton did see Joe Moreiano on the 30th. It proves that Joe Moreiano was convicted on perjured testimony. Gentlemen, look at the face of that clock. There's a mechanical date line right across the middle. The sign above it says, "This date is always correct." And the date, gentlemen, is December 30th, 1939. Members of the Pardon Board, the defense rests.
You have been listening to The Defense Rests, starring Miss Mercedes McCambridge, the first in a new and exciting series of cases from the files of an outstanding woman attorney, Martha Ellis Bryant. Mercedes McCambridge may currently be seen in Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer's Inside Straight, Warner Brothers' Lightning Strikes Twice, and the United Artists production The Scarf, currently having its premiere at the Park Avenue Theater in New York. The Defense Rests was written by Cameron Blake, produced and directed by Warren Lewis. Your announcer is Don Stanley.
Listen to Mercedes McCambridge as defense attorney following this important reminder. On this long Labor Day weekend just ahead, there'll be an estimated 37 million drivers on the road. They are not all careful drivers, but we hope you are. Watch your own driving and watch out for the other fellow, too. Be careful. The life you save may be your own. Perhaps in order to get to your destination a bit sooner, you'll be tempted to step on the gas. Speed too great for safety under prevailing conditions is the violation most frequently reported as contributing to motor accidents. So slow down. Don't let death take your holiday.
Ladies and gentlemen, to depend upon your judgment and to fulfill mine own obligation, I submit the facts, fully aware of my responsibility to my client and to you as defense attorney.
The American Broadcasting Company presents Miss Mercedes McCambridge as defense attorney. When Martha Ellis Bryant chose law as a career, she accepted the challenge of defending the defenseless. Mike Tully was one of the defenseless. Already convicted of murder in the first degree, he sits staring at the floor of his death cell, listening to the approaching steps of his final visitor.
Hello, Mike.
Hello, Miss Bryant.
Hi. Mike, I've just come from the Court of Appeals. And
It's all right, Miss Bryant. You don't have to say it. As soon as I saw your face, I knew the answer.
Mike, I'm sorry. Of course, there's still the governor. I'll try for a stay of execution.
No. Don't do it.
Well, there's always a chance, Mike.
Yes. Always a chance. For what? Another 48 hours, another week, or another month?
Another month of life, Mike.
Oh, no, it isn't. It's another month of waiting for death. I don't want to wait anymore.
Don't give up. Not yet, Mike. Please
don't give up. That's easy for you to say. What am I supposed to do? Die with a smile on my face? Am I supposed to say, what a great joke on the state. They're executing the wrong man?
I didn't say that.
No, you didn't say it, but it's easy for everybody else to be calm and logical. Oh, I'm sorry, Miss Brown. I apologize.
It's all right, Mike.
No, it isn't. I've given you a rough time right from the start, and you don't deserve it. Not the way you've been pitching.
It's my job.
Oh, I don't know what gets in him. I just can't explain it. Well, if I was guilty, if I was dying for a reason, maybe then I could die like a man, but I'm going to die for something I didn't do, and Oh, yes, I had a fight with Davidson. Sure, I admitted that, but that's all. He was alive when I left. I didn't kill him. I'm just a storekeeper. I'm not a murderer.
Mike, have you told the truth all the way? Are you sure you didn't go back to Davidson's store after the fight?
Oh, no, I told you 100 times. I closed my shop for the night and I went home. I saw Davidson through the window of his store. He was counting cash. He was getting ready to close up, too. And
in court, you said that you lowered the awning on your store before you went home.
Well, sure, it was the last thing I did every night before closing. The morning sun hits the store front. It'd fade the fabrics in the show window if I didn't do something to keep it out.
Yes, I know all that, Mike, but you've never explained why you left that iron crank handle outside the store after you cranked the awning down.
Well, I just forgot it, that's all. I've forgotten it other times. It was always there in the morning.
It wasn't there when they found Davidson's body. It was on the floor of his store beside his body, and it had been used to kill him.
Well, it wasn't used by me. Is that why I'm here? Can they kill me because something I owned was used to kill somebody else?
It didn't set well with the jury, Mike. You were convicted because of that crank handle and the testimony of Mrs. Robert Latham.
Mrs. Latham was lying.
She told the jury she saw you run out of Davidson's store and jump into your car. She gave the license number of the car. She described it perfectly. A red Nash Rambler. Said she'd just driven up to park in the space right behind your car.
Why wouldn't she look at me while she was testifying? Why'd she keep turning her head away?
I can understand that. It isn't easy to help send a man to an electric chair.
Well, I left the store. It was my own store, and I walked to my car. I got in and I drove home. Davidson was in his place, and he was alive, and nobody else was around, and nobody drove up to park behind me. That woman lied.
She had no reason.
Then she did it without a reason.
Mike, there's always a motive in lying as well as in murder. And Mrs. Latham is absolutely without motive. She'd never seen you before. She had nothing against you. She didn't know Davidson or anybody close to him. I checked.
Well, then she was mistaken. She saw somebody else.
The license number she gave was yours, Mike. And you do have a right.
It's not true. I don't care if she had 1,000 license numbers, and they were all mine. She didn't see me run out of Davidson's door. Oh, it doesn't make any difference now, anyhow. I couldn't convince a jury, and I can't even convince my own lawyer.
Mike, I tried to believe you.
I know you have. You tried. It's not your fault. Like you said, there's a motive for everything, and everybody thinks I had a motive for killing Davidson.
Well, you fought with him.
Oh, yeah, I fought with her. You ever see a fight between two shopkeepers, Miss Bryant? Two men who spend their lives indoors, never getting any sun, any exercise? Oh, yeah, that's some fight. A lot of yelling and pushing, a lot of punches that didn't hit anything and wouldn't have hurt if they did. Oh, yeah, that was some fight.
If only you hadn't gone looking for trouble.
Oh, I know that now, but he broke his promise. When he rented me the store, I told him I'd set up a haberdashery. You know, shirts, ties, robes, and shoes. And he was selling suits in his own place. And two businesses like that, well, they could work in together. They'd help each other. Then he started to put a haberdashery line in his own place, trying to cut me out. Well, I just wanted to get out of my lease so I could move. That's just all there was to it. We argued, yes, but I didn't kill him.
Mike, can you think of anything at all that you haven't told me before?
No.
Because if there is anything, this is your last chance to tell me now.
No, there's nothing else. All I want to say is, no matter how I've acted or what I've said to you, I am grateful for your help.
Well, then why don't you prove that to me? Mike, sign this appeal to the governor. Give me a little bit more time to help you. Mike, how about it?
No.
But I might be able to do...
Please, Miss Bryant. I've resigned myself to what they're going to do tomorrow night. I'm not a brave man, but I've mustered whatever courage I have to take me from this life into the next. And if there's another delay, I'll lose that courage. And there's no hope for me. You know there's no hope for me.
Is there anything you want? Is there anything that I could have sent in here for you?
Yeah? You go to church, Miss Bryant?
Mm-hmm.
Well, then there's something you can do. You can say a prayer for me. Yeah, and while you're there, you say a prayer for Mrs. Robert Latham, too. Because I swear by all that's sacred, that woman lied.
Marty, sometimes I wish you weren't an attorney. I hate to see you going into places like that.
Well, thank you for driving me up, Judd.
I'll have to come up here again tomorrow.
You tomorrow? Why?
City desk has assigned me to cover the execution.
Ah, Judd.
It's a rotten assignment. But you just have to remember that the man in the chair is dying because he killed somebody else.
Suppose the man in the chair is innocent.
You mean you're not convinced Mike Pelly killed Davidson?
I was convinced until just a few minutes ago.
Marty, don't let your sympathy get the best of your judgment.
No, this isn't sympathy, no. Mike Pelly's given up all hope of living. But he hasn't changed his story. And if he were guilty, I think he'd admit it now. Instead, he asked me to say a prayer for Mrs. Latham because she lied.
Marty, why should she lie? She's a prominent and respected woman. She's Robert Latham's wife.
You're pretty sold on Robert Latham, aren't you?
I respect him. He left a big business to go to Europe and help with a rehabilitation program. He's going to wind up as an ambassador, Marty. And he'll deserve it. How can you doubt the wife of a man like that?
Just the same, I'd like to hear her story once more. Because if Mike Pelly is innocent, we've only got till midnight tomorrow to find out.
Are you sure that you won't join me in another another cocktail, Miss Bryant.
Oh, no, thank you, Mrs. Latham.
Oh, it's no trouble. Just ring for one of the servants.
No, really, no. I just want to talk about Mike Kelly.
Oh. Drop my glass. I'm getting so clumsy lately. Look, it's after 4 o'clock, Miss Bryant. I have some guests coming. I should be preparing for them. Couldn't you... could you come back another day?
I'm afraid not, Mrs. Latham. Mike Kelly's execution is scheduled for tomorrow night, you know.
But he'll get a reprieve. The governor will surely give him a reprieve. You will get one, won't he?
No, Mrs. Latham. There will be no reprieve.
All right. So soon.
Why are you so surprised, Mrs. Latham? It's been in all the newspapers.
Well, I don't read that sort of news, Miss Bryant. I avoid anything connected with murder and that sort of thing.
Even when you have been the principal state witness against the man who's to be executed?
So what can I do? What do you want to see me?
I don't like to see a man die without reason, that's all. Are you sure you didn't make a mistake in your testimony?
Yes, I'm sure.
You're certain that the man who ran from Davidson's store was Mike Kelly?
Miss Bryant, you asked me all this at the time.
I'm asking you again. Are you certain?
Yes, I'm certain.
You're certain it was Kelly's car you saw, too?
I told you it was a red car. I took the license
Did you
number.
see him inside the store? Did you see him kill Davidson?
No, I told you. I just driven up to park when he came running out.
Well, then you didn't know he'd committed a murder in that store.
No, how could I?
You didn't know that a crime of any nature had been committed?
No.
Then why did you take the license number of Kelly's car, Mrs. Latham?
Miss Bryant, I don't...
You make a practice of taking license numbers of all the cars you happen to park behind?
No, but I saw him running. All the stores seemed to be closed for the night, and I thought that he'd been robbing one of them. That's why I took the number.
But you didn't call the police.
No. Oh, after I thought about it, I decided that nothing was wrong. There was no burglar alarm.
But you called the police 2 days later, though.
After I'd read about the murder.
I thought you avoided reading that sort of news.
Miss Bryant, I don't have to discuss this with you. I have guests coming, and I must ask you to leave.
All right, Mrs. Latham, I hope you have a very pleasant evening.
I haven't intended to be rude, but I do want to forget all this, and I'm not feeling well.
Well, neither is Mike Kelly. I don't know what your evening is going to be like, but I know what his is going to be like. Sometime tonight, they'll shave out a round spot on his head. They'll slit the leg of his trousers, and they'll ask him what he wants for his last meal tomorrow.
Why are you telling me?
Just in the hope that you might be interested.
Why should I be? What is it to me? He killed a man, didn't he? It's what he deserves, isn't it?
Goodbye, Mrs. Latham.
No, wait. Just a minute, Miss Bryant. Why don't you do something for him? Why don't you help?
Why don't you, Mrs. Latham?
I will. I'll do anything. I have money. I'll pay you for every cost. You could get his sentence commuted to life in prison, but there are ways of doing that, aren't there?
You really do want to help him, don't you?
Yes, I'll do anything.
Well, then you've got a deal, Mrs. Latham. There's only one thing I want you to do. Tell the truth.
Get out! Get out of here! Get out!
And that just about sums up my little interview with Patricia Latham, Judge.
That sounds like it was quite a session. But after all, Marty, she repeated the same answers that she gave you in court.
Yeah, but not in the same way. In court, she was just nervous. Now she seems pretty close to being hysterical.
Well, that's strange, Yara.
No, it isn't really strange. A death sentence is just words. You see the condemned man. He's sentenced, but he's still alive. That woman's just realizing that Pelly is really going to die and that the words are about to become fact. Patricia Latham's going to pieces. Only one thing could cause that, Judd. Tremendous struggle with her own conscience.
Now, wait a minute, Marty. You're not thinking that Patricia Latham murdered Davidson, are you?
I don't know. I'm just convinced that Mike Pelly didn't.
Marty, get back to the roots, the motive. For days I helped you check on her. She never knew Davidson or Mike.
No, maybe not, but there's a connection someplace. There's a link that we've got to find. Judd, take me to Davidson's store.
Again, Marty, we've been there 100 times.
Not since the trial ended 4 months ago.
Somebody else probably has the store by now. Pelly's place, too.
No, Davidson owned the property and both places are padlocked till probate. Nothing will be changed.
Well, what do you want to see this time?
Same things as before. The windows, the awning, the place where Mrs. Latham said she parked, and the line of vision between there and the entrance to Davidson.
Marty, I don't want to be vulgar, but... Well, whatever happened to the evenings we used to spend necking?
Judge, you know how I feel about you. But I don't think I could ever feel free for an evening again if it came at the expense of Mike Pelly's life.
With a few well-chosen words, Counselor, you've just made me feel like a heel.
I didn't mean it that way.
I know, but you're right. Well, I'm ready for duty every night for the next month.
We don't have a month. It's 10 p.m. We've got exactly 26 hours.
Well, that's it, honey. She could see everything all right. Her story still holds up.
Yeah.
The shopping district gets pretty deserted at night, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm. All the shops are closed by 8 o'clock.
Hey.
What?
Everything is closed by 8, so what was Mrs. Latham doing here that night? Pelly said he'd closed up. Stores here aren't the kind she'd shop in anyhow, menswear.
You should have paid closer attention at the trial, Judge.
Huh?
Mrs. Latham said she'd just been driving through on the way to a theater party. She dropped a lighted cigarette on the floor of her car. She pulled over to the curb to pick it up.
Well, there goes my claim to fame as a shamus. But, don't I rate a kiss for trying?
No, Judge, somebody's coming.
Huh? Oh, it's just a special cop. He's trying the doors to the shops, making sure they're locked.
Evening.
Good evening. You didn't try the doors to Davidson's or Pelly's.
No need to with those padlocks on the doors.
But, Judge, the door to Davidson's store wasn't locked the morning his body was found. How come that special policeman didn't discover the open door the night of the murder?
That's a thought. Hey, fella.
Me?
Yeah, we'd like to talk to you.
What's trouble, ma'am?
Oh, there's no trouble, officer. Do you work in this district here every night?
Yeah, Merchants Police and Protection Service. Why?
How long have you had this section?
Oh, a little over 2 years, I guess.
Were you on patrol around here the night that Mr. Davidson was killed?
Guy who owned the suit store, yeah. But I wasn't around just when it happened.
Oh, what time do you make your rounds? I mean, do you have a fixed schedule?
Uh-huh. I check this block like now around 11 p.m. I come through again about 2 a.m., then about 5 a.m.
The coroner's report showed that Davidson was killed at about 8:15, Marty.
I know. Officer, how come you didn't discover that the door to Davidson's store had been left unlocked that night?
I had no reason to discover it, lady. Davidson didn't take our service.
Uh-huh.
That answers that, Marty.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much.
You're welcome. Night.
Good night.
Oh, just a second.
Yeah?
I saw you drop something in the doorway of that last store that you tried.
Just a card showing the door has been checked. I drop one on each call.
I see. Well, you tried practically every door on this street. Do all the merchants subscribe to your service?
Just about.
Was Mike Pelly a subscriber?
No. He was pretty new around here, though. Maybe the salesman hadn't got to him yet. Guess him and Davidson was the only ones on this block who didn't take the service.
Well, thank you again.
You bet. So long.
Judd, what do you think of him?
He's just a working guy, Marty. A lot of ex-servicemen on jobs like this. Some of them study for the regular police force. This watchman stuff is sort of a fill-in and helps them get experience.
Then you think he's all right?
I imagine so. I can't say as much for the outfit he works for, though.
Why, what do you mean?
The Merchants Police and Protection Service, as they call it, is a racket. It's run by Chuck Duffy, a graduate of the Federal Pen in Atlanta. His salesmen are torpedoes from the same school.
Wow. Pretty hard to say no to salesmen like that.
Not many people do say no, as you can see from the cards in the doorways.
Yeah, the only ones who didn't subscribe were Davidson and Mike Pelly. Now one is dead and the other is about to be executed.
Yeah, and that could add up to something.
And we gotta find out. Let's go.
Well, there's only one joker in the deck, though, Marty.
Yeah, I know. Patricia Latham.
Mm-hmm.
Only I could find some way to discredit her testimony, some way to convince the state that she might be lying.
Now, you've checked her 100 times, Marty. She's a reputable woman. How could you discredit Robert Latham's wife?
She wasn't always Latham's wife. We don't know anything about her before she came to this part of the country. There might be something in her past that we haven't uncovered.
You mean she might have been in jail at some time or involved in some crime?
Well, that's possible.
We'd have found out about it, Marty.
Why? A crime committed in some other place? Some conviction under a false name?
Well, even if such a thing existed, we'd never find it. Not without fingerprints or some form of identification that could be checked reliably with out-of-state police. And there are 48 states. We don't even know where she came from.
We could find out from the Hall of Records. Her marriage license.
Marriage license. Hey, there's a better way than that. A way we can get fingerprints, too.
How?
Forget her marriage license. Her driver's license is the thing we want. The application will not only tell us where she came from originally, but her thumbprints will be on it as well.
No, not necessarily. That fingerprinting is optional, not mandatory. She might not have given her prints.
Why would a reputable woman refuse, Marty? If she did refuse, it would mean she had something to hide. With Mike's life at stake, the police might be interested in Just a little fact like that.
Oh, Judd, I think you're wonderful.
Well, that's what I keep telling you. Hey, look, I've got friends at the Motor Vehicle Bureau. You keep your eyes open for an all-night diner or a drugstore. I'll phone and have them start digging.
No, you better go yourself, because there isn't much time.
Well, what'll you do?
Go to police headquarters?
For what? We haven't actually got anything on Mrs. Latham yet.
Don't forget Chuck Duffy and his possible motive. I want to check the reports on his gang.
Past crimes don't connect them with this one.
No, but you know strong-arm men, Judd. Some of them use guns, some use knives. They all have favorite weapons. I want to see if any one of Duffy's hoodlums had a habit of committing assault with makeshift weapons. Common things like a piece of pipe.
Or an awning crank?
That's the idea, Judd.
Yeah, might give us a lead at that.
So you check Mrs. Latham, I'll check Duffy. Drop me at a cab stand and meet me at police headquarters when and if you get anything. And hurry, Judd, hurry.
Morning, honey.
Hi.
Quite a stack of police reports you got there.
Yeah, and they're all on the Duffy mob. What did you find?
You're going to be disappointed, Marty. I found nothing. Absolutely nothing.
Oh, Judd, what do you mean?
I mean that Patricia Latham not only didn't leave her fingerprints on her application for a driver's license, she hasn't even got a driver's license.
She hasn't got a license. Are you sure of that?
Why, sure, Marty. It's daylight outside. I've been going over those files all night.
But, Judd, that proves she gave false testimony. She said she drove up, and she parked behind Mike's car on the night of the killing.
And she can still say the same thing, Marty. The only thing it would prove is that she was driving without a license. And that won't save Pelly from the electric chair.
Well, could her license records be lost?
No. The only possibility is that an old license expired. She forgot to renew it.
Can't you check on that?
We could check it easily if we knew the year she made her first application, but we don't. The boys at the Bureau are still digging for me. If they come up with anything, they'll call me here.
Well, what time is it?
It's almost 8 a.m. And what have you found in the Duffy gang?
A stack of assault charges against a man named Roy Nichols. Usually assault with a dangerous weapon. And his choice of weapons has always been made on the spur of the moment. Things like a flat iron, a jack handle, a rock.
Just the sort of boy to work somebody over with an awning crank if he saw one at hand.
Yeah.
He look anything like Mike Pelly. I mean, could he be mistaken for Pelly on quick sight?
No, Here's his photograph.
Oh, no. Well, I hope the boys at the Motor Vehicle Bureau find something.
Well, we can't wait for them. You call them and tell them you're not going to be here.
Where can I tell them to reach me?
At Mrs. Latham's. We've failed at everything else.
Why would I do such a horrible thing to a man I've never seen before?
I don't know your motive, Mrs. Latham.
You'll never get another chance to tell the truth. Tomorrow will be too late.
Think about it, Mrs. Latham. Mike Pelly has only 12 hours to live. You're the only one who can save him.
Offered you money to help. I offered to do anything.
Oh, I think that's for me.
No. It's the call that I've been waiting for. It's my husband. I placed a transatlantic call last night, and they've been trying to locate him in Germany. I've got to talk to him. Please go into the other room.
Come on, Marty. Must be a phone extension in here someplace, Marty.
I don't see one.
There, in the corner.
Yeah.
I see you've located the extension, Miss Fox. It's all right. It is your call, not mine. I'll be in here when you finish.
Hello? Yeah, George, shoot. Applied 5 years ago, huh? And comes from where? Yeah, I got it. Oh, what's that? Spell it. A-C-H-R-O. I got it. Chromatopsia. Yeah, it may help. Thanks. Bye. That was the Motor Bureau, Marty. They located an old application, but no license. She was rejected. Physical disability. Chromatopsia, whatever that is. You ever hear of it?
I don't know. I might have. Is that all they could tell you?
That's all, except for her place of birth. Came from Brookville, West Virginia.
Brookville, West Virginia?
Mm-hmm.
Judd, that's where that fellow, that Roy Nichols came from.
The hoodlum, you had the file on?
Yeah. And
Marty, what's the matter?
There's something else to that word, that chromatopsia. Oh, Judd, if that means what I think it means, come on.
Right.
Mrs. Latham.
Why can't you leave me alone?
Yes, we will in just a minute. When did you see Roy Nichols last?
I don't know anybody by that name.
Don't lie, Mrs. Latham. Not again. You came from the same town in West Virginia.
Well, I don't remember
All
the
right,
name.
Mrs. Latham. It's my mistake, I guess. I only have one more question for you. It's a very simple question. You can see Mr. Barnes quite clearly, can't you?
Yes.
Tell me, Mrs. Latham, the necktie he's wearing, what color is it?
Marty, what?
What color is it, Mrs. Latham?
Go ahead. You can't answer me, can you? Because you're colorblind, aren't you?
Sure, a chromatopsia. That's what it means. She is colorblind.
She couldn't have seen Mike Kelly get into a red car, she described, because all colors look gray to her. She described a red car because somebody told her to describe a red car. Who was that, Mrs. Latham?
Roy Nichols. I was in love with Roy once, years ago, back home. I didn't know what he was. I was only 17. He came here after Davidson was killed and he told me what to say. He had pictures of us together, old letters of mine. He said he'd ruin Robert's career if I didn't say and do what he told me. I wasn't thinking of myself. I was thinking of my husband.
You think your husband is the kind of a man who'd want an innocent man to die to protect his career?
No, that's why I was calling Robert. I wanted to tell him everything, say goodbye. I wasn't going to let Pelly die. In the desk there's a telegram I was getting ready to send to the governor as soon as I spoke to Robert.
Telegram is here, all right, Judd. A box of sleeping tablets. I should take them out and throw them away, Mrs. Latham, but I'm not going to because I want you to think. Think of the man that you marry. Not only who he is, but what he is. He must love you very much. Yes, I can see that you love him. I do love him. Well, then prove it to him. Have enough faith in him to let him see you through this. You're probably the most important thing in his life. Don't take yourself away from him.
I won't. I promise.
I'll take this telegram to the police. There are a few people they'll want to see. They can arrange to stop Pelly's execution. You better come down to headquarters yourself after a while.
I know. Will you help me?
Yes.
That must be Robert's call.
We'll leave you then. Come on, sir.
Right.
I don't know what to say.
You know what to say. Remember, you're talking to the man who loves you.
Hello? Yes, this is she? From Frankfurt? Yes, I'm ready. Robert? Oh, Robert, please don't hate me. I've got something to tell you.
Come on, Judd. Will you stop admiring your silly old newspaper and pay a little bit of attention to me?
Huh? Oh, I was just looking over the story.
Why, you
think I wrote it very well.
All I care about is that headline. Mike Kelly released.
I think it's great. Hey, listen to that tune on the jukebox. You know who's doing the vocal? Mercedes McCambridge.
You were expecting maybe Mario Lanza?
I never knew she was a singer.
Well, she is. She'll need more than that record to prove it to me.
Oh, you attorneys. Always want proof. Proof. You know something, Marty? I can't get Mrs. Latham out of my mind. How could she have ever been mixed up with a torpedo like Roy Nichols?
Well, you don't know very much about women, do you, Judd?
Huh?
There are two men in every woman's life. The man she marries and the one she's glad she didn't marry. Every woman has a big mistake someplace in her past.
Oh, wait a minute. I don't like the sound of that, Marty. Were you ever in love with somebody else?
Makes you think I've ever been in love with anybody.
Oh, now stop kidding, Marty. I want to know.
I'll tell my husband about my big mistake someday. I'll say to him, and once I was in love with a no-good heel, a newspaper man named Judd Vaughn.
Young lady, I shall drive you home, and this romance is ended.
It's too bad. Because I was just going to ask you whatever happened to the evenings we used to spend necking.
Oh, well, since you put it that way, I'll drive you home by way of the park. You have just heard Mercedes McCambridge as defense attorney with Howard Culber as judge. Music was composed and conducted by Rex Corey. Defense Attorney was written by Joel Murcott. The program is directed by Dwight Hauser. Next week, another exciting adventure with Mercedes McCambridge, Defense Attorney. Be sure to listen. This is Your FBI. The official broadcast from the files of the FBI follows immediately. Stay tuned. This program came to you from Hollywood. America is sold on ABC, the American Broadcasting Company.
Listen to Mercedes McCambridge as defense attorney following this important announcement. The United States is engaged in an immense program of defense mobilization. Its success depends upon the maintenance of a strong, healthy economy. Increased sales of United States defense bonds will ensure that success. Here's a job for America in which everybody can share. In addition to helping your country, you also help yourself, because a bond bought is money saved. You can buy bonds on the payroll savings plan or the bond-a-month plan. Whichever method you may use, make tomorrow your D-Day. Buy an extra bond for defense.
Ladies and gentlemen, to depend upon your judgment and to fulfill mine own obligation, I submit the facts, fully aware of my responsibility to my client and to you as defense attorney.
The American Broadcasting Company presents Miss Mercedes McCambridge as Defense Attorney. When Martha Ellis Bryant chose law as a career, she accepted the challenge of defending the defenseless. Jimmy Leonard was one of the defenseless, a 16-year-old newsboy charged with hit-and-run manslaughter. He is being held at the Midtown Precinct, where Martha Ellis Bryant is summoned by Judd Barnes.
I want you to see him, Marty. I want you to talk to him. Lieutenant Leibus will be back any minute. He'll okay the visit.
You're pretty upset about this boy, Judd.
I've known him since he was 2 feet high, and I don't think he's guilty.
Well, the police must have had some reason for bringing him in.
He owns a hot rod. Keeps it in a public garage near the paper. When he went in this morning, the fender and a headlight were smashed up. He took it to a body shop to have it straightened. The police picked him up and nothing flat.
Because of that man who was run down on River Street last night?
Yeah. A couple of people who were waiting near the ferry slip said they saw a hot rod come zooming along and kill him. Jimmy's hot rod isn't the only one in town. Half the kids who peddle our papers have ones just like it.
But not with a smashed fender, is that it?
Somebody might have backed into the car in the garage. Jimmy says he didn't drive it last night, and I believe him.
Why, Judd? Usually you're the doubting Thomas.
Marty, it takes somebody pretty cold-blooded to run a man down and then beat it without stopping to help. And this kid isn't cold-blooded.
Judd, he's just a boy. He might have been frightened.
Not that frightened, Marty. Oh, hi, Ed.
Hello, Lieutenant.
Hi, Judd, Miss Bryant.
Ed, Marty wants to see Jimmy Leonard. How about it?
I guess somebody better see him. He's going to need help.
What do you mean by that, Ed?
I mean, he killed a man on River Street last night.
You want to make book on that?
Save your money. I've just come from the lab.
His car was in the garage all night.
Not according to the lab report. There's a blood trace on that smashed fender that matches the blood of the man who was killed. Not only that, but glass fragments at the scene of the wreck fit perfectly into the broken headlight.
Can there be any doubt about that, Lieutenant?
You've seen enough lab reports, Miss Bryant. Take a look at this one.
The car could have been stolen.
Use your head, Judd. Anybody did steal it and kill the man, they'd have ditched it in some side street. They wouldn't bring it back to the garage.
Lieutenant, has the dead man been identified?
Yeah. Name is Fred Rimling, longshoreman. He just finished a job on the docks and was crossing River Street on his way home when that young punk come barreling along.
That kid isn't a punk, Ed.
Look, Judd, we've been friends for a long time, but I got a job to do this morning. I've got to go over to Tenement Row and tell Fred Rimling's wife and 2 kids he isn't going to come home. It's one of the lousiest things a cop has to do. How'd you expect me to feel about that hot rod jockey you're so fond of?
Lieutenant, maybe you have proof that Jimmy Leonard's hot rod killed Fred Rimling. But you haven't proved that Jimmy Leonard was driving the car.
Maybe not, but I can prove that he lied. He claims he was home all last night. I spoke to his old man a half hour ago. The kid hasn't been home since he left the peddler's papers yesterday. Now, if you still want to see him, go ahead. Better you than his old man.
What do you mean by that?
I mean, his father doesn't think as much of him as you do. I let the old man in to see him, he'd beat his brains out. And believe me, I'm tempted. Yeah, I'm sorry I blew, Judd. Thinking about myself, I guess. Got a bad hour ahead of me.
It's my fault as much as yours, Ed. I didn't know about Rimling's family.
I better go. I'll clear your visit with the desk sergeant, Miss Bryant. We'll take you back to the cell whenever you're ready.
Look, Jimmy, Bryant can help you, but she can't do it if you won't talk.
I've told you everything.
You haven't told us where you were last night.
I was home.
Your father says you weren't.
Maybe he didn't hear me come in. He was sleeping. I got up this morning before he did.
I see. Jimmy, how big is the place you live in?
Not big. Kind of small.
How many bedrooms?
1.
Where do you sleep?
Pop and I share the room. We got twin beds.
How about your mother, Jimmy?
She's dead.
Oh, sorry, I didn't know that.
No, it's all right.
Jimmy, where were you last night?
Jimmy, I've always been a friend of yours, haven't I?
Oh, sure, Mr. Barnes, you've been swell, but
Then why should you lie to me? Where were you last night, son?
I was... No, I can't tell you.
Jimmy, are you refusing to protect yourself, or are you trying to protect somebody else?
No, I can't tell you, that's all. I just can't tell you. So, why don't you go away? Why don't you leave me alone?
Come on, Marty. I guess Ed was right.
No, just a minute. Jimmy, did you ever lend your car to anybody? Was there anybody who might have had a duplicate of the ignition key?
No, I was the only one who ever drove it. I only made it a month ago. A bunch of us made them. We chipped in and bought parts so we could get them wholesale.
Mm-hmm. Did any of the other fellows keep their cars in the same garage?
Yeah. A kid by the name of Rembrandt. I don't know his real name. We call him Rembrandt because he goes to an art school at night. And Frankie Cutter. Yeah, they're the only ones. Say, look at lady. What can they do to me?
Well, Jimmy, you're just 16. And if they find you guilty, you'll be sent to the state reformatory until you're 21. That's 5 years.
Jimmy, 5 years. Think, son.
Look now, I didn't kill that man. I didn't drive last night. The car was never out of the garage.
All right, so the car wasn't, so the police lab is crazy, but where were you?
Judd, leave him alone, darling. It's no use. Come on, I want to see those other newsboys.
Jimmy's in kind of a jam, huh?
A bad jam, Frankie.
Yeah, I understand you have a car just like his, Frankie.
Sure, a bunch of us got him. We all made him together.
Uh-huh. Do you keep yours in the same garage?
Got to keep it someplace. What a racket. $8 a month garage rent. I could leave it in the street and save the dough, but the cops keep slapping tickets on it. Hey, you got $1, Mr. Barnes? I'm out.
Sure, Frankie. Here.
Thanks. Guess I ain't got no matches either.
Here, I've got a lighter.
Ah, that's a good lighter. Look, if my old lady sticks her head in here, grab the weed fast, will you? She screams like an eagle if I smoke in the bedroom.
Frankie, did you happen to see Jimmy Leonard any place last night?
Oh, why? Do you say I did?
No.
To your knowledge, has Jimmy ever gone around with a girl?
A girl? Jimmy? He's too square.
Uh-huh. Is your car in good working order, Frankie?
A dream on wheels. I got a carburetor on that baby. You ought to see it go. I knock off work in the mornings about 4:30 and head for the speedway. A lot of hot rod guys there in the morning, you know. So, there's no traffic and we can race. Ain't nothing can touch that heap of mine.
Do you do that every morning?
Sure, it's kicks.
Did you do that this morning?
No, not this morning. I was too tired, beat.
Hmm. Where was your car last night while you were working? Was it in the garage?
Where else?
Is it there now?
Of course it's there now. Rembrandt's too.
Yeah, we know. We've already spoken to Rembrandt.
Well, thank you very much, Frankie. Judd, we better go.
Sure.
Stick around a few minutes. The old lady went out to get some cake. She'll fix you some coffee or something.
No, thanks, Frankie. Thank your mother for us.
I don't want to get up and see you to the door in my pajamas. I ain't got no bathrobe.
That's all right, Frankie. We'll find our way. Goodbye and thank you.
Sure. Some classy dame you got there, Mr. Barnes. Keep her covered so she shouldn't get cold.
Yeah, I will. So long, Frankie. How do we get out?
I think we came in through that door. This other one must be the kitchen or a closet or something.
All right, you are, Princess. Marty, what do you think of Frankie?
Feel sorry for him.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Tenement row isn't the ideal setting to grow up in. My folks used to live in a place just like this.
You grew up all right.
I was lucky, Marty. I learned how to put words together until they made sentences. Street level. There's the door.
Ooh, like the end of a dark tunnel.
Judson, I know you have to get to work, so I can take a cab to Jimmy Leonard's house, huh?
Yeah, I'm afraid you'll have to, Marty. I'll drop you at a cab stand.
All right.
You still want to see Jimmy's father?
Yeah, I do. And when you get to the paper, will you check around a little, ask some of the other boys if they saw Jimmy last night?
Yeah, sure. Maybe one of the... Hey.
What is it?
Lieutenant Levis just coming out of that building across the street. Well, there's his car. Hey, Ed! Ed!
Yeah, he sees you, Judge. He's coming across.
Ah, that must have been where Rimling lived. Levis said Tenement Row.
Yeah, I know.
Hi.
Hi.
Hope you didn't come down here to see Mrs. Rimling.
No, Marty had to stop in the neighborhood.
How is she, Lieutenant?
A couple of neighbors with her now, and the minister in the church. She'll be all right, I guess, if she isn't left alone. 2 cute kids. Look, Judd, I want to ask a favor.
Well, sure, Ed.
Your paper makes a pitch for somebody every once in a while to get help for him. Fred Rimling's family can use some help.
I get right on it, Ed.
No insurance, no nothing. Killed coming from work last night. The first work he'd had in 3 months.
In 3 months? Longshoremen should be busier than that. There's a lot of shipping.
Yeah, well, for some reason he'd been on layoff till yesterday. Longshoremen's union had a meeting yesterday afternoon. He was elected delegate. I guess that helped to get him working again. I better get back to headquarters. Where are you going?
No, I'm going to the paper. Marty's going to see Jimmy's father.
Lieutenant, would you mind doing something for me?
To help that kid up. Well, what do you want?
I want you to check the license plates on Jimmy's car. Then check the registration. Make sure the motor number on the car's right.
What's the reason for that, Marty?
Well, it's just a possibility. Rembrandt and Frankie Cutter have cars exactly like Jimmy's. One of them might have switched parking stalls and license plates. I just want to make sure that Jimmy's car is Jimmy's car.
Look, Miss Bryant, his key fit the damaged car. He drove it out to a repair shop. A fella can always tell his own car, even from others, just like...
No, Lieutenant, but just the same, check it for me, will you? I'll come down to see what you find. After I see Jimmy's father.
I told him 100 times if I told him once that car'd get him in trouble. Now look at him. Behind bars.
Well, tomorrow morning he'll be arraigned and transferred to the county jail. And then you'll be able to see him.
I don't want to see him. Not unless I can get my hands on him. I'd like to break his neck.
Mr. Leonard, what kind of father are you?
The kind he should have listened to. I've been too easy with him. He's just like his mother was. Blood'll tell. That's what she'd do, too. Kill a man and run. She never had the guts to face anything.
But he's a 16-year-old boy. He's alone. He's frightened. And he may go to a reformatory if he's found guilty. Does that mean anything to you?
I never should have kept him. She wanted him. I should have let her have him. They're two of a kind.
Who are you talking about? Some girl?
I'm talking about his mother.
Oh, isn't your wife dead?
How do I know? I haven't seen her in 10 years. She wanted him, but she couldn't get him. But when I got finished with that divorce court, I showed him what she was.
You mean you divorced your wife and you got the custody of the boy?
The court found she wasn't a fit mother.
The court find that you were a fit father?
I did everything for him. Tried to make something out of him.
It's almost unbelievable how far justice can miscarry.
What do you mean by that?
You never wanted that boy.
I took him. Made a home for him.
You took him so that you could do just what you've done, not because you wanted him, but so that you could punish him. So that you could get revenge for whatever you think your wife did to you.
Say, who do you think you are to come in and talk to me like this in my own house? Now get out of here. When you see that son of mine, tell him I hope they keep him in jail forever.
I will, Mr. Leonard, I will. Because compared to the home you've given him, his life there will be paradise.
There's the check on the serial number of the motor, Miss Bryant. It tallies with the number on the registration slip.
Well, then I'm sorry I bothered you, Lieutenant. It was just an off chance.
Oh, Judd called a few minutes ago. He's on his way over to meet you.
Thank you. Has Jimmy Leonard said anything since I left?
No, he's still clammed up. You know, that fool kid. If he hadn't run away, the charge wouldn't be so bad. A year, maybe, but that hit and run. What happens to a kid's brain, Miss Bryant? It's an accident, not murder. He was speeding, sure, but why didn't he stay to face it?
Guess he was afraid to face something else. His father.
Yeah, you think he hated the kid. You know the kid's guilty, don't you, Miss
Don't
Bryant?
ask me that, Lieutenant. My job is to defend him.
Yeah, sure, I'm sorry. I got some work to do, but you can wait here for Judd, okay?
Yeah, fine.
Oh, sorry, Ed.
Speak of the devil. Here's your bow now, Miss Bryant.
Got time to grab a bite with us, Ed?
Cops never eat or sleep. You know that, see you.
Any luck, Marty?
Yeah, all bad.
I've got some bad news, too. Jimmy was definitely lying about where he spent the night.
Why, do you know where he was?
At the Hotel Savarin Plaza.
The Savarin Plaza?
Yeah, there's a newsstand in the lobby. One of the men on a delivery route was making a drop there, and he saw him.
We might have been just walking through. That hotel opens on 2 streets.
Delivery men saw he said Jimmy at the desk registering. Said he called to him, but Jimmy turned his face away. He said he thought maybe he'd made a mistake.
Did you check with the desk clerk?
Yeah, Jimmy was registered, all right. Not only that, but he'd been there before. For some reason or other, he stayed at that hotel about 1 night a month.
Gee, it's strange, a boy like him in a hotel like that.
Yeah, and there's something even stranger. He'd always call in advance and make a reservation. Marty, you think he was meeting somebody or something?
Yeah. Yeah, I do, and I think I know who. His mother, Chuck.
His mother's dead. You heard him tell us that.
If she's dead, Jimmy's father doesn't know about it. They were divorced 10 years ago. Oh, Judd, that boy's not guilty. He's hiding something.
Well, he won't talk, Marty. You saw that.
Maybe we can find something to make him talk. You go back to that hotel and go through that register. See if a woman has also registered there on the same days that Jimmy did. Get all the information you can on her. Because if we find her, I think we'll find Jimmy's mother.
You may have something, Marty. Why don't you come with me?
Oh, got another stop to make.
Yeah, where?
Down at the docks. I'd like to know why Fred Rimling only got 1 day's work in 3 months.
Hey, you sister.
Yes?
Down these docks ain't no place for a lady. Hoists and everything, you might get hurt.
Thank you very much. I'll be careful.
Hey, wait a minute. Don't go. I ain't finished talking yet.
You let go of my arm.
You've been nosing around the docks all afternoon asking the longshoremen questions. You shouldn't do that. These guys gotta work.
I don't think what I do is any of your business.
It's all my business. I'm Joe Boston. You're wasting their time and they all work for me.
Oh, I see. You're Joe Boston.
Hey. Heard of me, eh?
Yeah, this afternoon I've heard quite a lot about you. Fred Rimling worked for you, too, didn't he?
Yeah. Poor Fred. I just sent some flowers. Bad thing. Poor guy getting killed like that. Leaving a family. I bleed for him.
Bleed what, ice water?
Look, you're a pretty fresh dame. What do you want around here?
I want to find out why Fred Rimling worked only 1 day in 3 months.
Docks are slow, that's why.
They're loaded with shipping. I've been talking to the men. And I know why he didn't work.
Oh, all right, sister. Tell me.
He didn't work because you have the contracts for all the unloading done here, and you make the men kick back part of their pay.
Yeah? Get one of them to say that in front of me.
Oh, you know they're frightened of you. But Rimling wasn't, was he? He was ready to fight you. That's why the men elected him delegate yesterday.
He was a communist. Always making trouble.
He was not a communist. He went to church regularly, and all the men around here respected him. 1 day's work in 3 months. And a late job, too. One that brought him out on River Street at 3 o'clock in the morning to be killed under the wheels of a car.
A hot rod driven by a crazy kid. You blaming me for that?
No, I'm not blaming you yet. You let go of my arm.
Sure, I'll let go of it. But let me tell you something. Stay away from these docks. Stay out of my business or I'm going...
Or what, Buster? What's the matter, Marty?
Judd, he's...
You're Barnes, ain't you? Newspaper guy, eh?
That's right. And Miss Bryant happens to be the girl I'm going to marry, and I don't like to see her having trouble. Come on, Marty, I'll take you home.
I'm pretty happy you came along.
I looked for you all over the docks. Lucky I found you.
Yeah. Rimling was breaking up a racket on him, Judd. Boston looks like a man who wouldn't stop at any murder.
Are you sure?
He shakes the men down, a pay kickback. A couple of them hinted at it, but they're afraid.
Ed Liebus suspected Boston of strong-arm stuff before, up to and including murder, but he's never been able to hang it on him. But, Marty, what's the connection between Joe Boston and Jimmy's hot rod?
I don't know. I keep thinking Jimmy's car was switched with another one just like it. But Liebus has proven that's wrong.
Yeah. Over there is where Rimling was killed, Marty. Coming out of Pier 37. Witnesses who saw the hot rod were in that ferry shed there. The car came speeding along from that direction.
Yeah? Well, hey, Judd, what did you find out at the hotel?
Yeah. The kid's mother was at the hotel on those nights, all right. Her name's Mrs. Helen Goodrich now, remarried. Comes from Pleasanton, 100 miles upstate. I called her, told her what's happened. She broke up, Marty. She's on her way here now.
Oh, good. That boy sure needs her.
She loves him, Marty. I could tell by her reaction.
Judd, look out. Watch.
What? Wow. Oh, that crazy cab driver. He almost skidded right into us.
It wasn't his fault. It's this road. It's like glass.
An oil truck overturned here a few days ago. They tried to sand it down, but it's still slippery. You hear the sand and gravel kicking up under the fenders?
Yeah. Yeah, I do hear it. Judd, I want to see Lieutenant Levis. I want to see him right away.
Oh, why? What are you so excited
The
about?
car that killed Rimling must have driven through that oil slick.
Yeah?
I got an idea. An idea that may prove Jimmy didn't kill Fred Rimling.
Now, wait a minute, Miss Bryant. Wait a minute. Give me that again. Slow.
Lieutenant, the car that killed Rimling must have passed that oily spot on River Street, right?
Yeah, so?
Suppose it was not Jimmy's car.
I got a short answer for you, Miss Bryant. If it wasn't Jimmy's car wouldn't have a smashed fender and headlight.
There are 2 other cars like it in the same garage. The night man admitted he was asleep. Any one of those cars could have gone in and out without his ever seeing them.
Okay, what's your point?
Her point is that Rimling might have been killed by one of the other hot rods. How did you happen to pick Jimmy up, Ed?
You know how, Judd. We put out a bulletin to all repair shops to report a damaged hot rod.
And you got a call on a car with a smashed fender and headlight.
Yeah, and it's good, solid evidence.
But would it still be solid if you could prove that an undamaged fender and headlight were removed from Jimmy's car? Right in that garage? And the damaged ones put on in their place?
Ed, it could happen.
Yeah. I never thought of it, but you're right, it could. Yeah, but how can we prove it?
Your lab can. By that oil slick. The death car came through it. And that oily sand hits up under the fenders and some of it sticks.
It did on my car, Ed. I checked to see.
That's proof, Lieutenant. You have the lab go over Jimmy's car again. If he did drive through there'll be traces of oily sand under all 4 fenders. But if you only find it under the damaged fender, then that fender does not belong on Jimmy's car.
Miss Bryant, if I ever kill anybody, you've got a client. Hello, Levis. Call the lab. Tell them I want a crew at the police garage right away.
Ed, better send somebody to look at those other cars, too. The ones belonging to Rembrandt and Frankie Cutter. If one of them made the switch, he'll have oil and sand under 3 fenders.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
I'll bet on Frankie Cutter's car. Frankie told us he used to go racing every morning. But he admitted that he didn't the morning after Rimling was killed.
Sure. He missed the races because changing that fender and headlight took time.
Where's he live, Jim?
Let's see. It's almost 9 p.m. He should be at the newsstand by now, 5th and Madison.
Hello, give me radio division. A radio, Lieutenant Levis. Put out a pickup for a kid named Frankie Cutter. He's a nosy. 5th and Madison. Have him brought in here and held till I get back.
I didn't kill him, I tell you. I was working the newsstand.
Save it, Frankie. You're cooked. The lab crew can prove that you switched fenders on Jimmy's car.
Might as well tell the truth.
Come on, Frankie.
Give me a butt, will you? I'm out.
You can smoke later.
Okay. I changed the fenders and the light. But I didn't kill nobody. I was at the stand. Somebody else had the car.
Oh.
If I tell you, he'll kill me. He's a big shot. The stuff, real big. Got connections.
Maybe we can tell you, Frankie. It was Joe Boston, wasn't it?
Huh? How'd you know?
Was it Boston, Frankie? Come on, talk.
Yeah, he came by the stand that night. I had my car in the alley. By the movie, you know? Every time he picked up a paper, Boston, I mean, he slipped me a buck. A big guy, you know? So it's about 2 a.m. when he comes by. He wants to know, can he borrow my car? To a guy like him, you don't say no, so I give him the keys.
And when did he come back?
About 3:30. Tells me he had an accident. The thing is smashed up. The fender and the headlight. Give me a butt, will you, somebody?
Here.
He gave me a C-note. To keep my trap shut. I didn't know what happened. When I took the car into the garage, the night guy was asleep. So I glommed onto a fender and a light from Jimmy's car. Next morning, when I found out a guy got killed, I was scared stiff. I couldn't say nothing. Boston had laid me out.
Enough, Lieutenant?
Plenty. Radio division. Radio, Liebes again. Another pickup. Joe Boston on a 224. No, I'm not kidding. This time he rides. Come on, Frankie.
Where are you taking me? I didn't do nothing.
You're a material witness. I want to keep you alive until Joe Boston isn't. You're lucky we picked you up.
He's right, Frankie. Boston knew we were asking questions about him. When he picked up his paper tonight, your tip might have been more than $1. He'd shut you up for good.
When they bring him in, you ain't going to put him in the same cell with me, are you?
No, but I ought to just for kicks. Come on, move. While I'm putting this one in, I'll let Jimmy let it out.
We'll wait.
Marty, thanks. You saved a good kid.
Jimmy'd have to be good. If he weren't, he'd have gotten into trouble a long time ago with that father of his. That man is a real...
Is Lieutenant Liebes here or Mr. Barnes? I've got to see one of them right away, please.
I'm Mr. Barnes. You must be Jimmy Leonard's mother.
Yes, where is he? Let me see him, please.
It's all right, Mrs.
Goodrich.
Mrs. Goodrich. Jimmy will be here now in just a minute. He's being released.
Released? Mm-hmm. Released? You mean he's all right? They know he didn't do anything?
Yes, they know.
Oh, thank heaven, thank heaven.
Mrs. Goodrich, he wouldn't tell them where he'd been that night. Do you know why?
Because of me. My husband. Not Jimmy's father, Mr. Goodrich. He doesn't know I've been married before. I never expected to see Jimmy again after his father divorced me, so I never told Mr. Goodrich.
Oh, I see.
Since the divorce, I didn't see Jimmy again until last year. I came to do some shopping. Saw him selling papers and recognized him. A mother knows. I had to see him after that. We met once a month.
Take it easy, Mrs. Goodrich.
I was afraid to tell my new husband. Afraid I might lose him if I told him now, so late. I guess that's why Jimmy wouldn't say where he was. He knew I was happy. He didn't want to bring me into it.
Yes, but you'll have to tell your husband now.
I did. Right after Mr. Barnes called. I don't know now why I was afraid to tell him before. I got a good man this time. He's out there in the car. He wants me to bring my boy home with us. But I can't. He's still a minor. The courts gave his father custody.
Mrs. Goodrich, you take the boy along with you. You leave the rest to me. I'll get that decision reversed if I have to spend my life in a courtroom.
Thank you. I don't... Jimmy! My baby! Mom!
Come on, Jim.
You know, Marty, you worry me.
Why?
Well, there's nothing a man dreads more than the prospect of being married to a woman smarter than he is.
Don't worry about it, Doc.
No? Why not?
Because if I'm really smarter than you are, I'll be smart enough to never let you know it.
Oh. All right, that's a deal. Now give me a kiss.
I don't want to.
Come on.
Well...
Well...
You have just heard Defense Attorney starring Mercedes McCambridge with Howard Culver as Judd. Tonight you heard Tony Barrett as Lieutenant Liebes, Tom McKee as Boston, Joel Nestler as Jimmy, George Peroni as Frankie, and Irene Tedrow as the mother. Music was composed and conducted by Rex Corey. Defense Attorney was written by Joel Murcott. The program is directed by Dwight Hauser. Next week, another exciting adventure with Mercedes McCambridge, Defense Attorney. Be sure to listen. This is Your FBI. The official broadcast from the files of the FBI follows immediately. Stay tuned. This program came to you from Hollywood. America is sold on ABC.
The makers of Kix, tasty, crispy corn puffs, food for action, and the makers of Clorettes, the new chlorophyll chewing gum that makes your breath kissing sweet, present Defense Attorney.
Ladies and gentlemen, to depend upon your judgment and to fulfill my known obligation, I submit the facts, fully aware of my responsibility to my client and to you
as defense attorney.
And now we proudly present Miss Mercedes McCambridge as defense attorney. When Martha Ellis Bryant chose law as a career, she accepted the challenge of defending the defenseless. Joshua Masters was one of the defenseless. Suspected of murder, he couldn't defend himself.
Your father told me his will left his estate to his 3 sons, but there won't be 3 sons to share it.
That's all right. We can divide it between the 2 of us.
I don't think so.
Why?
Because I talked to your father yesterday. He was afraid he'd be accused of killing David, and I told him if he was charged with murder, I would defend him. And I'm going to.
Yes, Joshua Masters was one of the defenseless. And we'll bring you his story right after this important message. But first, let's listen to a man who sings the blues because he doesn't take time to eat breakfast.
It's a shame to be a Nixie like me. I suffer from a lack of energy. Won't somebody tell me why I fail in everything I try? It's a shame to be a Nixie like me.
People who are always weary, always dreary are Nixies. So different from active, cheery Kixies. Kixies are men of action who eat kicks, food for action. Lively boys, girls, and grown-ups who always eat breakfast built around a bowl of Kix. How fine everyone feels, because Kix is an 83% energy food. Are Kix good? You bet. Crispy corn puffs so tender and tasty. Eat Kix, food for action.
Oh, it's grand to be a Kixie like me. Always feeling full of pep and energy. Every morning I eat Kix, so I'm never in a fix. Oh, it's grand to be a Kixie like me.
And now the curtain rises on Act 1 of tonight's defense attorney story. Wealthy Joshua Masters is in the law office of Martha Ellis Bryant.
Conducting an investigation is decidedly out of my line, Mr. Masters. I'm an attorney, not a private detective.
I understand that, Miss Bryant, but this is something I believe you could handle better than a private detective.
Well, I'm very flattered, but I'm afraid I don't quite understand.
Your reputation for integrity is common knowledge, so I know I can trust you. You're always famous for proving people innocent. Now, one of my 3 sons is trying to kill me.
And you want me to find out which one is guilty?
Well, in a manner of speaking, yes, but what's more important, I want to know which 2 are innocent. You see, there's a lot of money involved.
Yes, well, how old are you, Mr. Masters?
68.
And your sons?
The oldest, 38. Youngest, 33.
Are they married?
No. All 3 like to consider themselves eligible bachelors.
Yes, I believe I've read about them in the newspapers.
I'm not proud of my sons, Miss Bryant. The parasites, waiting for my money, waiting for me to die, and one's trying to hurry it.
And you are a widower, aren't you, Mr. Masters?
Yes. My wife died in 1939.
And will your sons inherit your money?
As my will is now, the estate is to be divided equally among the 3 boys.
Well, specifically, what is it that makes you think that one of the boys is trying to murder you?
Well, I've got a weakness for speed. I like to go fast. In a car, boat, anything. I've got a foreign car. It's very fast. Are you interested in foreign cars, Miss Bryant?
Oh, well, not right now, Mr. Masters.
Yes, well, I like to get out on the freeway and open my car up once in a while. I started out the other day and got a flat tire. I drove into a service station to get it fixed. 1 lug bolt was holding the wheel on. The other 4 had been unscrewed, holding by 1 thread.
Well, of course, that is dangerous, but it could have been accidental.
Maybe. But I've got a speedboat down at the bay. I started to take it out one day when I noticed that the bilge was full of gasoline, and 1 spark plug wire was disconnected and hanging about 1/4 of an inch above the bilge. Now, if I'd touched the starter, it would have all blown up over the harbor.
Yes, of course it would. And you believe that these potential accidents were planned?
Yes, I do. There are other things, little things, but they all add up. Well, you know, my sons.
And you think that one of your sons is responsible for these occurrences?
Yes, there isn't anyone else.
No, that isn't what I mean. I mean, has it ever entered your mind that maybe more than one of your sons is involved?
Oh, I see. Oh, no, I never thought of that. Well, I hope it isn't true.
Oh, well, maybe it isn't true about any of them, Mr. Masters.
It's true, Miss Bryant. David, Ralph, or Gordon, any one of them is capable of killing me for my money.
Tell me, do you support them?
Yes, but I don't give them as much money as they think I should. I believe that wealth carries a responsibility, Miss Bryant. A responsibility to use it wisely. They just want to use it.
Mm-hmm. Mr. Masters, there may be cause for your suspicions, all right? But I'm not going to hazard an opinion, nor am I going to attempt an investigation.
Oh, I see.
However, there is a private detective I can heartily recommend to you. His name is Ted Ruby, and he's in the Hartley building. I've used him on several occasions myself, and I know that he's very reliable and that he's well qualified for this sort of thing. And I advise you to go to see him. You can tell him that Martha Ellis Bryant sent you.
When did all this happen, Marty?
Just yesterday, Judd. So I sent him to Ted Ruby.
Well, Ruby will know how to handle him. At least he'll make some money on the deal. I'm glad you didn't take it.
Well, it wasn't in my line, darling. But I was sorry I couldn't help him. He's kind of sweet.
Yeah, he's kind of a screwball.
Why? Do you know him?
No, but I know quite a bit about him and his family. The boys are always mixed up in some scandal, always expensive to get out of, and the old man pays the fare.
Well, then the boys are worthless, huh?
You bet they are. But the story got out about how every time one of the boys had been in trouble, someone had given an anonymous contribution to some charity, a big contribution. I chased down the story for the Dispatch. It was old man Masters. Whatever the current scandal payoff cost, he'd give an equal amount to charity. Some screwy idea of dollar for dollar, good for evil.
We could use more screwy ideas like that, Judd.
Yeah? He gets tickets for speeding and goes through the same routine. He's just a screwball.
Yeah, but you haven't talked to him.
No.
I have. I like him. I'm sorry I couldn't help it. Oh, excuse me.
Sure.
Martha Ellis Bryant's office? Oh, yes, he is. Just a minute, please. For you, Judd. The Dispatch.
Oh, okay. Hello. Yeah, Steve. All right. Yeah, 1802 Sandalwood Drive. Yeah, I got it. Well, whose place is it? It is. Yeah, all right. I'll get right over there.
Get right over there. There goes our luncheon date, I bet you.
Yeah, Marty, there's been a killing at 1802 Sandalwood Drive. Got to get over there. You want to go along?
No, not particularly. Anyhow, I got a lot of work to do here.
Well, maybe you ought to go, Counselor. Do you know who lives at 1802 Sandalwood Drive?
No. Should I?
Yeah, you should. That's the home of Joshua Masters.
This is a real beautiful home. Huh, Judd?
Yeah, it is. I wonder if Josh Masters donated to charity an amount equal to the cost of maintaining this place.
Why should he?
Well, I just think it's a sin to live in a house this big.
Oh, such a sickness.
It's all right, Sergeant Press.
Okay.
All right, get over there, those pictures. Yeah, right. All right.
Ah, hello, Judd.
Hi, Ed.
Well, Miss Bryant, this is a surprise. Was Masters a client of yours?
Well, he was sort of a near client.
What?
No, I'm just here with Judd, Lieutenant Leader.
Oh, I see.
What's the story, Ed?
One of those messy family affairs, inside job.
You got any leads?
Oh, you know, Judd. Arrest within 24 hours.
One of the boys, huh?
Yeah.
Which one? You know yet?
Sure we know. It was David.
Can I print that?
Well, sure. Why not?
Well, then you're going to arrest him right away.
Arrest who?
David.
Arrest him? How can we arrest him? He's dead.
Dead? I thought... Wait a minute, Ed. You mean that Josh Masters wasn't killed?
The old man? Well, no, it's David.
Then Josh Masters isn't dead?
Well, no. Should he be?
Well, of According to percentage, yeah.
What?
Oh, nothing. You take it, Judd. It's your story.
Well, what happened, Ed?
Well, about all I'm sure of right now is that when Gordon Masters came into the library this morning, he found his brother David lying on the floor, dead. He'd been shot sometime last night with a .44 caliber gun.
You've found the weapon?
No. Medical examiner says it was a .44. And the old man's gun, a .44, is missing from the desk drawer. He says he can't account for it.
What do you think about it, Ed?
Well, like I said, we expect an arrest within 24 hours.
Do you know who it'll be?
Oh, come on. You know I can't answer that, Judd.
All right. Unofficially, Ed, not for publication.
Well, I think that Josh Masters knows where that gun is.
Has he got a motive?
He had a quarrel with David Masters yesterday. That could be a motive. The only fly in that ointment is the fact that he was always quarreling with one or the other of the boys.
Yeah, so I've heard. Where's Josh Masters now?
He's in the library. At least he was just a minute or so before you come in.
Wonder if he'd care to make a statement to the press.
I don't know. You can ask him. He's a free citizen, so far.
Thanks, Ed. I think I will.
Yeah. Look around if you want to, Judd. I got work to do. See you later. Bye, Martha.
See you, Ed. Well, what do you think of this development, Marty?
Darling, Joshua Masters isn't the kind of person who kills anybody. He's just
Well,
nice.
Miss Bryant, I'm surprised to see you here. I was going to come down to your office.
Good morning, Mr. Masters. I came with Mr. Barnes. He's a friend. Judd, this is Mr. Masters.
Glad to know you, Mr. Masters.
I'm so very sorry about your son, Mr. Masters.
Well, thank you. I'm sorry I can't feel more grief than I do. My sons have been a great disappointment to me, Miss Bryant.
Well, do you have any idea who may be responsible for this thing?
No, I haven't. I wish I knew. That Detective Leadus, he suspects me.
Did he say that to you?
No, he didn't need to. I know. Miss Bryant, if he should charge me with this, I'd like to have you as my attorney.
Oh, well, it's a little early, Mr. Masters. However, if you are charged with the murder, and if I believe that you're innocent, I'll defend you. Lieutenant Leadus's 24 hours are just about up. I wonder if he's made his arrest yet.
If he has, Josh Masters is here in the jail, and you've got a client.
Yeah. Hello, Lieutenant.
Well, good morning, Martha. Judd.
Hello, Ed. Anything new in the Masters case?
Yeah, we found the gun.
Hey, when?
Oh, about 10 minutes ago.
Well, who had it?
Josh Masters had it.
Are you sure, Lieutenant?
Yeah. It was lying beside him.
It was what?
Yeah. Josh Masters committed suicide with it at 8 o'clock this morning.
In just a moment, we'll continue with Act 2 of tonight's defense attorney story. Don't breathe. Don't breathe a word until you chew Clorettes. Because Clorettes makes your breath kissing sweet. That's right, kissing sweet. Clorettes is the delicious new chewing gum that contains chlorophyll. Aha, that magical green chlorophyll you've read so much about. Clorettes with chlorophyll banishes most odors that make breath unpleasing. Clorettes makes breath sweet and wholesome in seconds. Chew Clorettes and your breath becomes kissing sweet, even after eating onions or garlicky salads, even after heavy smoking or telltale beverages. It's the chlorophyll in Clorettes that does the trick. And Clorettes is such a delicious gum you'll chew it for pure enjoyment. Everyone who breathes should chew Clorettes to keep breath always kissing sweet. So carry a package in pocket or purse. Get Clorettes today. Cloretts. Only 15 cents a box wherever chewing gum is sold. Chew Clorettes, the gum delicious. It makes your breath kissing sweet. And now we continue with Act 2 of tonight's defense attorney story.
Mr. Masters didn't think they were accidents, Lieutenant. He was afraid one of the boys was trying to murder him. He wanted me to help him find out which one it was.
Well, things sound more like accidents than plans as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, me too, Marty.
Old people are always figuring that someone is trying to get them out of the way.
Joshua Masters was not suffering from a persecution complex, if that's what you mean.
That's what I mean.
Not only that, I couldn't get one direct answer from him yesterday.
You didn't catch him in a lie.
No, but I didn't catch him in a truth either.
Lieutenant, please remember he didn't know where his gun was. He might have thought one of the boys had it. Maybe he was unwilling to incriminate any of them.
He said he didn't know where the gun was.
Look, Martha, I like it this way. Joshua Masters thought one of his sons was trying to get him out of the way. For some reason, he figured it was David, and he jumps him about it. They argue, and Josh shoots him. Then, in remorse over having killed his son, he takes the gun and kills himself. Now, is that logic?
Makes sense to me.
If you didn't know Joshua Masters.
Oh, come on. You didn't know him till 2 days ago.
That's right. I talked to him for 15 minutes, and I got to know him real well, Lieutenant.
Oh, Martha, how could you?
All right. Now, do you grant that I am at least a fair judge of character?
Well, you always have been, so far.
Joshua Masters might have committed suicide, but he never would have committed murder.
Oh, look, Martha, it was his gun. We couldn't find it yesterday. This morning it's lying beside him. His fingerprints on the handle, the presence of powder burns on his head, and the angle of the bullet's path all point to his suicide. With the same gun that killed David.
That's strong evidence, Martha.
I know all that, darling, but it's too perfect.
And now your story about those so-called attempts on his life gives a motive for murder and suicide by Joshua Masters.
Wait a minute, Lieutenant. Have you found out anything about his will, about his insurance policies and things like that? What about who inherits the money?
Well, no, not yet. But that's standard procedure, Martha. I'm going to question the 2 boys about it now.
Ed, that isn't going to make any difference in the story, is it? I want to call the dispatch.
I don't think we'll find out anything new. Chances are the boys will inherit everything. Well, they should.
There isn't any doubt about what'll happen to the money now. Those 2 will know how to spend it. They always have.
Are you going to question them, Ralph and Gordon, separately, Lieutenant?
No. I'll call them in here together. You want to hear?
Yeah, I'd like to. May I?
You sure?
Ed, what about the noise of the gunshots? Didn't anybody hear it?
No. Both shots were in the library, and Josh Masters had it soundproof. He liked music, and he liked it loud. Collected records, you know. Nobody else could stand it, so Josh had his library soundproof and played his records in there.
That's the motive for killing him right there.
Not if the place was soundproof. Oh, Sergeant, you send Gordon and Ralph Masters in here, please.
Right.
Believe me, Lieutenant, the last thing Joshua Masters had on his mind when he was in my office was committing suicide.
You want me, Lieutenant?
Yeah, I got a few questions I want to ask as soon as your brother gets here. Sit down.
Look, let's get one thing straight. Just because my father killed David and then shot himself is no reason for you to start tossing orders around here. You're in my home, and when I'm ready, I'll ask you to sit down.
Oh, little touchy, huh?
Why shouldn't I be? Just lost one brother and my father.
Take it easy, Ralph. Sensitivity isn't a characteristic of the police department, you know. What do you want now, Lieutenant?
This isn't a suicide until the coroner says so. And he won't say so until I finish my investigation. And I won't finish my investigation until you answer a few more questions.
That's all we've done for the past few days.
Well, we can wind this up today. Right now, I want to know who stands to inherit the most from the estate.
Why do you ask that?
Because I want to know.
Now, look, don't get out of line, Lieutenant.
I can answer that, Lieutenant. The money was to be divided equally among the family. The 3 of us.
How do you know that?
Dad told me a long time ago.
The will hasn't been changed?
Well, not that I know of.
Did your father ever feel he was being picked on? Abused?
He certainly did.
Huh? When'd you notice it?
Every time we asked for a dime.
That's right. He's pretty tight with his dough.
From what I hear, you were pretty loose with it.
What have you got to do with it?
I'm Martha Ellis Bryant. I'm an attorney. Your father was a client of mine. Did you know that he had thought of changing his will?
Any change he made wouldn't hold up after killing David and committing suicide. Losing his mind, not capable of handling his affairs.
We can break any kind of a will now if we need to.
Oh, come on, Judd. They'll be dividing his clothes next.
Yeah, I could use some fresh air. See you later, Ed.
Yeah, so long, Judd. Miss Bryant.
Bye, Lieutenant.
Any court will overrule a will made by a man that killed his son and committed suicide.
So, Gordon Masters is really plugging that murder and suicide, isn't he?
Yeah, but I think he's right, Marty.
I don't know. He sounds to me like a man with something to sell.
Or a man that's convinced of something.
Yeah, well, maybe. Can you take me back to my office, sweetie? I wish to ponder.
About this case?
Yeah.
Look, Marty, the police say it's suicide. Why don't you let it go at that? They've got powder burns, bullet angle. You just gave them a motive.
Yeah.
And you've got fingerprints on the gun to back up a suicide theory. Anyway, what are you doing in this case? You're a lawyer, not a detective.
You're right, darling. I am a lawyer. And yesterday I told Joshua Masters that if he was charged with murder and if I thought he was innocent, I'd defend him. And that was a promise.
Sure, but he's dead.
Yeah, but he's still charged with murder, the murder of his son, and he can hardly defend himself.
How far can you go with noblesse oblige?
My darling Judson, there are people whose goodness is apparent even in a short conversation. And I think Joshua Masters was one of those people. And I don't think he killed his son. And I don't think he committed suicide.
That's what I gathered.
Anyway, the fact that he's dead doesn't cancel my promise to defend him. I just wish I knew how to begin. And neither one of those fine, upstanding boys was concerned beyond the question of who inherited the money. Their father lying in the next room dead. And they're planning on how to break his will.
Yes, Marty, but that still doesn't make either one of them a murderer.
Either one of them could have killed David to get a bigger share of the estate and then killed Joshua to get the money sooner.
It's a good theory, Marty, but the police have a better one with evidence to back it up. Joshua Masters' fingerprints on the handle of that gun.
Somebody could have put his hand around that gun after he was dead.
All you've got to do is prove that, and the rest of your theory will hold up.
Yeah, well, there must be some way to prove it.
I never heard of a way, short of a confession. A little late for that. Marty, don't start wringing your hands over this case. It isn't that important.
I'm not wringing my hands, darling. I'm just trying to think of a way. Hey, Judd, there is a way. Pull over to the curb.
Marty, for Pete's sake, let go of the wheel.
I'm sorry, darling, but listen. If I were going to put your fingerprints on this steering wheel, now give me your hand. Here, okay. I'd put your fingers around the wheel and I'd press, huh? Like that.
Yeah?
Right, now see what happens. Look there.
Hey, do you suppose it'd show?
I don't know, but I'll never be able to sleep if we don't find out. Let's go back, fast.
Let's do. Burn 'em up Barnes, they call me.
Well, it's sure going to start something new in the checking of suicides, Martha. I just wouldn't have thought of it, but there they are, and they match.
Pretty obvious that Joshua Masters did not commit suicide, isn't it, Lieutenant?
Yeah, no doubt about it. You know, we came pretty close to making a bad mistake. If you and Judd had been 2 minutes later getting here, it would have been too late.
Why, was it that close?
Well, the coroner and I were agreed on murder and suicide. We were ready to turn the body over to an undertaker.
Zing.
Well, I'll get the sergeant and bring Masters in here.
Just a minute, Lieutenant. Suppose they were both in this thing together.
Yeah, that's something to think about, Ed. It could be.
Yeah, I guess it could. You got any suggestions, Martha?
Uh-huh. Why don't we get them both in? Then we can watch their reaction, maybe find out more than we know.
That's the way to do it, Ed. And the star reporter of the Dispatch will be in on the arrest.
Yeah, I think you're right, Martha. Have the sergeant bring him in. Sergeant!
Yes, sir.
Have Gordon and Ralph Masters come in here, will you?
Right.
Look, Martha, you want to handle this? It's your play, you know. I can be watching for trouble.
There could be trouble, too.
Sure. He's killed twice.
All right, I'll talk to him.
Say, how much more of this pointless questioning do we have to put up with?
Maybe they've decided it was suicide. Have you, Lieutenant?
Not yet. Miss Bryant here has something to say.
What's an attorney got to do with this?
Is this something to do with the old man's will?
Yes, in a way. That is, it will certainly affect the terms of the will.
What do you mean?
Well, your father's will left everything to his 3 sons, but there won't be 3 sons to share it.
That's all right. We can divide it between Ralph and me.
No, I don't think so.
What?
I talked to your father 2 days ago, and he told me that he suspected one of his sons of trying to kill him.
He did?
Yes.
Oh, that was probably why he killed David. He found out that he was the one.
Is that what you think, Ralph?
Well, what else is there to think?
Oh, there are other things. I talked to your father again yesterday. He was afraid he'd be accused of killing David, and I told him that if he was charged with the murder, I would defend him.
What's this got to do with us?
He has been charged with the murder. He has been charged with killing David and committing suicide, and I am defending him. Because he didn't kill David and he didn't commit suicide, your father was murdered.
Who says he was murdered?
I say he was murdered.
You can't prove that he was. His fingerprints are on that gun handle.
Yes, they are. And you, Ralph Masters, put them there.
You can't prove that either.
Oh, yes, I can. When you pressed your father's hand around that gun to leave his fingerprints on it, you left your own.
My fingerprints aren't on that gun.
That's right, Ralph. They're not on the gun, but they are on your father's hands.
What?
On his fingernails.
You lie.
No, Ralph. She isn't lying. We checked him.
Is that true, Lieutenant?
Yeah, real true.
Ralph, you killed David and Dad.
Yeah. Yeah, I killed him, and you would have too if you'd had enough nerve. Now, don't move anybody.
I got him, Martha. He's got a gun.
Right.
I said, don't anybody move. I'm leaving. I'm getting out of here. I'll kill anybody that tries to stop me. I think I'll kill you anyway, Martha Bryant. If it hadn't been for you...
What about the sergeant behind you, Masters?
What?
I got him.
Jimmy.
Good shooting, Ed.
Oh, thanks for turning him, Judd.
Lieutenant, is he dead?
Yeah. Yeah, he's dead.
First David and then Dad. Now Ralph. I'm the only one left.
Oh, all alone in the world with $1 million.
All right, let's get him out of here.
Have a couple of patrolmen come in here, will you?
What is it, sir?
When Judd Barnes chose a lawyer as a girlfriend, he accepted the challenge of defending the defenseless girlfriend.
Yeah, it looked kind of grim there for a minute. You probably saved my life, Judd. Thanks.
Marty, you shouldn't put yourself in a position where you're exposed to danger like that, likely to get killed.
Yes, Judd.
Your business is defending, not apprehending.
Yeah, I guess it isn't very nice to put your friends in a position where they have to rescue you all the time.
It isn't that. I was glad to do it, and I know Lita's was, too.
No, I was kind of foolish. I shouldn't have done it.
No, it wasn't foolish.
Yes, it was. I didn't owe Joshua Masters anything.
Yes, you did. A promise made is a debt unpaid.
I know, but after all,
If you didn't do things like that, you wouldn't be my Marty.
Now, which side are you on, darling?
I've been trapped again, so help me.
Judson, don't you know you can't win an argument with a woman? And when the woman is a defense attorney, hoo-ha.
You have just heard Defense Attorney, starring Mercedes McCambridge, with Howard Culver as Judd. Tonight you heard Tony Barrett as Ed Leadus, Dallas McKinnon as Josh and Gordon Masters, and Harry Bartell as Ralph Masters. Music was composed and conducted by Rex Corey. Defense Attorney was written by Jack Spears. The program is directed by Dwight Hauser. Ladies and gentlemen, we are happy to turn over the last few minutes of this program to Miss Betty Mills of the Radio TV Mirror magazine. Each year, Radio TV Mirror conducts a poll of readers asking them to vote for their favorite actors and actresses. It is truly the choice of the people, you fans who listen to and enjoy the radio performances of the many distinguished artists who come into your homes each week. Any award is an important honor, but we feel that the awards of Radio TV Mirror, determined by the votes of the listeners themselves, is a very special honor. Here now to make the presentation of this year's award, Miss Betty Mills. Betty?
Thank you, Orville. We're extremely happy to have the opportunity to tell you on this program that in the annual awards poll conducted by Radio TV Mirror magazine, American radio listeners have chosen as their favorite dramatic actress Miss Mercedes McCambridge.
Thank you, Betty Mills. Thank you very much indeed.
Mercedes, has most of your recent radio work been as Martha Bryant, defense attorney?
Yes, Betty, it has, and I love doing the show.
Then I suppose we could assume that the decision of the radio listeners naming you their favorite dramatic actress this year would be due to your work on Defense Attorney.
I'm afraid it's the work of many people, Betty. It's Dwight Hauser and Howard Culver and Tony Barrett and all the ABC crowd. And I want to thank them and through you, the editors of Radio TV Mirror, and particularly all of the people who voted for me. Thank you.
The management of ABC, the cast and crew of Defense Attorney, would like to join Radio TV Mirror in congratulations to a fine actress for a fine job. Congratulations, Mercy, and incidentally, it certainly is a lot of fun, as all the cast will say, to work with Miss McCambridge. Incidentally, there's a delightful story on Mercedes McCambridge in the current issue of Radio TV Mirror. I suggest that you get it and read it. Next week, another exciting adventure with Mercedes McCambridge, Defense Attorney. Be sure to listen. Defense Attorney is presented by the makers of Kix, tasty, crispy corn puffs, food for action, and by Clorettes, the new chlorophyll chewing gum that makes breath kissing sweet.
This is Mercedes McCambridge reminding you to stay tuned to your ABC station for that entertaining program, The Original Amateur Hour, emceed by that great showman and grand person, Ted Mack.
This program came to you from Hollywood. America is sold on the American Broadcasting Company.
And now, transcribed.
Ladies and gentlemen, to depend upon your judgment and to fulfill mine own obligation, I submit the facts, fully aware of my responsibility to my client and to you as defense attorney.
And now we proudly present Miss Mercedes McCambridge as defense attorney. When Martha Ellis Bryant chose law as a career, she accepted the challenge of defending the defenseless. Jeff Savage was one of the defenseless, but he didn't look defenseless on the basketball court of the Municipal Auditorium.
Look at that. 40 seconds to play, and the Star Poly is freezing the ball.
Doesn't seem very sporting.
Oh, it's part of the game, Marty. They got a 1-point lead. They just don't want Eastern U to get another crack at the basket.
Thought Eastern U figured to win this game by 20 points.
Looks like the gamblers figured different. Hey, there goes Jeff Savage. He got the ball away from him.
Yeah, but he can't pass. He's smothered.
Shoot it long, Savage. Shoot it. Yow!
Woo-wee, he made it. It's in.
Hey, just in time, too. There's the final gun. Eastern 67, Star Poly 66. Come on, let's beat the crowd.
Yeah. Hey, that was pretty exciting, huh? I'm sorry I had to miss the first half. I got stuck at the office.
I'd have waited for you, honey, but I was assigned to cover the game. I'd have been fired if I showed up in that press box after the opening whistle.
Oh, I got here all right. I'm a big girl now. Hey, where are we running?
Phone booth's at the end of the corridor. I can phone in my story, catch the Boulder Gut edition. Then I'll take you to Lou Fong's and give you a chopstick lesson.
You just want me to get fat and bulgy so nobody else will want to marry me.
I plead guilty, counselor. Here's the phone. Only take a minute.
Hey, look, Judd, I've got my car here, too. Why don't I go ahead and I'll wait for you at Lou Fong's?
That's a good idea. But before you go, I need something.
Oh, Judd, I can't kiss you here. Other people.
Who said anything about a kiss? I need a nickel for the phone.
You can't. You can use a quarter. I never want to see you again.
Hey, Marty, have a heart. I haven't any change.
You won't have any salary left either when I get through eating. I'll see you at Lou Fong's. Big heel.
Your car's over this way, Miss Bryant.
Oh, thanks. I got here late and I got in without a ticket. Who are you? How do you know where my car is?
We can talk about that when we get out of here.
No, look, you
Don't
can't...
look back at the crowd unless you want to get hurt. I'm not playing. All right, climb in and get it moving.
You're such a gentleman. How can I refuse?
Let me have your purse.
Right there on the seat. Take what you want and get out.
I'm not taking, I'm giving. $2,000. You can count it later.
I don't know who you are or what your game is, but I don't think I want your little present.
It isn't a present. You'll work for it. My name's Lawton. Frank Lawton. I want you to remember that.
I'm not likely to forget.
Don't forget the $2,000 either. I'm depending on that money to keep a kid out of the electric chair. A kid who's going to be framed for a murder he didn't commit.
A murder you committed, perhaps?
That's funny, Miss Bryant. Real funny. Before long, you'll know just how funny.
Would you like to tell me who my client is?
A few minutes ago, you were watching him play. Jeff Savage.
Jeff Savage?
That's right, Miss Bryant. Jeff Savage. Now, this is a quiet street. You can pull over to the curb now and let me out. Save Jeff Savage, Miss Bryant. Nobody knows I gave you that money, but you've got a reputation for being honest. I hear that some people still are. Goodbye.
Oh, just a moment, Mr. Lawton. How do I know Jeff Savage is really innocent? How do I know that he didn't send you to me?
You don't know, but you will by tomorrow morning when he's arrested, because he'll be charged with murdering me. Good night, Miss Bryant.
So that's why I was late, Judd. I went right to the police. Lieutenant Levis said they'd try to pick Savage up right away, and the Lawton fella, whoever he is, if they can find him.
If you ask me, Marty, the whole thing sounds like a joke. A bad joke.
Oh, I don't know, Judd.
If Lawton was going to be murdered, why did he go to you? Why didn't he go to the police for protection?
Yeah, I asked myself the same question.
Well, did you get an answer?
Well, one that mightn't make sense. It was Lawton, Judd. He seemed to me like a man who was tired of something, terribly tired. Like a man who didn't want protection. I know that doesn't sound logical.
No, Marty, it doesn't.
Well, just the same, I got that impression. Judd, why were you at that game tonight? I mean, why were you sent to cover it? You're not in the sports department.
Well, the city desk had an anonymous tip about the game being fixed. Eastern U was even money to win by 20 points. They won by only 1 point. A lot of suckers dropped their paychecks on that one.
That game must have something to do with it.
Something to do with what? A murder that hasn't even happened and probably won't
Judd, look by the door. Lieutenant Levis, he just came in.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he's looking for us. Ed, over here.
Yeah. I was hoping you'd still be here.
And I've been hoping you'd come by. You find those two guys?
We think so, Judd. Savage is being questioned right now at the Midtown precinct.
How about Lawton?
We'll be sure when you identify him, Miss Bryant.
Why? Won't he admit who he is?
He can't admit anything, Judd. He's on a slab at the county morgue.
Who? You established the time of the murder?
Yeah. And you ought to hear Savage's alibi. Says he was supposed to meet Lawton tonight out at Lawton's house in Honor Heights. Says he waited there till 1 a.m., but Lawton never showed up. Says Mrs. Lawton was there. I can verify it.
All right, I'll call her right away.
I already called her. She said she never saw or heard of Savage before in her life.
Oh, that looks bad, Marty.
Huh.
Lawton was killed in the slum district. Tenement row. Stabbed. We found the murder knife tossed in some rubbish in an alley. About 10 feet from where he was killed. Savage said he never seen it before.
But you don't believe him.
Would you believe him, Miss Bryant? His initials are carved on the handle of the knife.
It's getting light out, Mr. Savage.
I know.
Listen, you're not a schoolboy. You're a GI student, 26 years old. Why won't you talk?
I told you all you have to know, and I told you the truth.
All you told me is that you knew Lawton, that you went to his house to meet him, but that he never showed up. And Mrs. Lawton says that isn't true.
That Mrs. Lawton is lying. I was there from 11 o'clock after the game until 1 this morning.
All right. Well, tell me one thing. Why did you have an appointment with Lawton?
It was personal.
Are you going to let me help you or not? I know that you're innocent because Lawton paid me to defend you. And a man does not protect his own murderer.
If you know that, why do I have to tell you anything else?
Because a jury will have to know everything. Your meeting with Lawton had something to do with that game last night, didn't it? Oh, you're not hiding anything by being quiet, Jeff. The newspapers got a tip that the game was fixed. You should have won by 20 points, not 1 point. Who was in on that fix?
I don't know. It's hard to tell.
But you were playing. You know your teammates.
Miss Bryant, look. Any player can be off form. For 4 years now, I've lived and studied and played with the men on that squad. You want me to say that one of them is a thief and a cheat when I don't know?
All right, Jeff. Let's stick to Lawton. How long have you known him?
I met him about 2 months ago when the season started. It was at a practice session one day. The coach introduced him.
You mean he was a friend of Eastern U's coach?
You don't know much about basketball, do you, Miss Bryant?
No, not a great deal.
You ought to read the record books. Frank Lawton was the captain of Eastern U's first team 20 years ago. He was the kind of player you dream about being.
I see. Go on, Jeff.
Well, after that practice session, he made some crack about how good players were making a lot of money by missing a few baskets.
And what did you say?
Well, if anybody else had said that, I'd have hit him, I guess. But coming from Frank Lawton, I thought it was a joke.
Did you tell him that?
Yeah.
What'd he say?
He just laughed. And we started to talk about other things. I didn't think any more of it until about 2 weeks after that. We were upstate playing Avalon.
Mm-hmm.
We were picked to win by 10 points. They won the game by 1 point. Lawton was at the game. It didn't mean anything at the time, but it kept happening. Every time our margin was lower than it figured to be. Lawton was there.
Did you ever talk to him about it?
Yeah, after the game with State. I found out where he lived and went there. He was alone.
So you want to know who I'm paying off, huh? Joe College with the old school tie.
You better tell me, Lawton.
Get wise, kid. Stop being a hero. It's easy dough. Get some for yourself.
You drunken no good. Come on. Come on, get up.
My mouth. You cut my mouth.
Talk, Lawton.
Don't hit me again. I'm older than you are. I'm not in condition.
You're what's left of Frank Lawton, the great player. The man who never quit. Look at you. You're not a man, not anymore. You're a snake, a chiseler. Nothing will make you fight, will it?
Get out of here.
Tell me who you're paying.
I can't tell you anything. Get out of here. Get out and leave me alone.
Sure. I'll leave you alone. You'll be alone all the rest of your life, even in crowds, because no decent person would touch you with a forked stick. That was the last time I saw him.
You said you were supposed to meet him last night.
I got a phone message from him yesterday. A message to come to his house after the game, and he'd tell me what I wanted to know.
You didn't speak to him yourself?
No.
Well, is that all that you have to tell me?
Thereon, you know as much as I do.
Jeff, when you knew that those games were being fixed, why didn't you go to the police?
Without knowing who was to blame? You don't disgrace all the men you play with because of one. I wanted to find out who it was.
Lieutenant Liebes has a knife, Jeff. It was the one that was used to kill Lawton. Your initials are on that knife.
I don't ever remember seeing it before.
All right, Jeff. You certainly haven't given me very much to go on. But I'll see what I can do.
Here's the knife, Miss Bryant. It hasn't been through the lab yet, so please don't touch it.
Wooden handle. Not liable to find any fingerprints on that.
No, but those initials, J.S., under the circumstances, they point to Jeff Savage.
All too clearly.
Yeah, all too clearly. Look. Look at those initials, Lieutenant. The knife seems pretty old, but those initials were carved just recently.
Yeah, I noticed that.
Well, do you think a man would own a knife for a couple of years, maybe, and then carve his initials in it just before he used it to kill somebody?
Homicide's a crazy business. Maybe the lab can tell us more. Whenever they turn up, I'll let you know. Come in.
Lieutenant Liebes?
Yeah, I'm Liebes.
My name is Dan Gilbert, sir. I'd like to see Jeff Savage.
Gilbert, you're one of Savage's teammates, aren't you?
Well, yes, sir.
We saw you play last night. I'm Martha Ellis Bryant.
Oh, are you here to help Jeff?
Yeah.
I'd like to see him.
Sorry, that won't be possible, Gilbert. No visitors till he's transferred to county jail.
Oh, well, could you at least tell him that I came? Tell him that, I'm behind him, whatever I can do?
You sound like you're pretty good friends.
4 years together at the dormitory and on the team.
Did Jeff ever talk to you about Eastern's games being fixed by Lawton?
No. I thought Jeff and Lawton were friends. Oh, I guess I never should have given him that phone message from Lawton yesterday.
You mean when Lawton called to ask Jeff to come to his house?
His house? No, Is that what Jeff said?
Gilbert, maybe we can give you a lift, huh? We'll talk on the way.
Just a minute.
Now, look, Ed.
Sorry, Judd. You want to talk to Gilbert? Talk right here. Well, how about it, boy? Where were they supposed to meet?
Well, if Jeff said...
Do you want to be an accessory in this?
He's right, Gilbert. You better tell the truth.
He said for Jeff to meet him at 6th and Halburn, down on Tenement Row.
Whew. Come on, Judd.
In just a moment, we'll continue with tonight's defense attorney's story.
Never again need you wonder about your breath. For now, thanks to the new Clorette's Candy Mints, everyone who breathes can have kissing sweet breath. For the new Clorette's Candy Mints are rich in chlorophyll, that magical green purifier. Yet Clorette's Candy Mints are so refreshing, so minty, so all-out tasty, you'll eat them with delight. The big difference between Clorette's and regular mint candies is Clorette's are rich in chlorophyll. It's amazing how fast Clorette's Candy Mints make your breath kissing sweet, even after onions, garlicky salads, heavy smoking, or a telltale beverage. Now you can enjoy Clorette's Candy Mints as well as delicious Clorette's chewing gum. Both contain chlorophyll. Both make your breath kissing sweet. Clorette's chewing gum or Clorette's Candy Mints. Clorets. Clorette's. Only 15 cents everywhere.
And now we continue with Act Two of tonight's defense attorney story.
Marty, you've been up all night, and this is no time to be seeing Mrs. Lawton anyhow.
I've got to see her, Judd.
How do you think she's going to feel? Her husband murdered, the paper showing up as a fixer for a gambling ring?
I got to know why she and that boy Dan Gilbert are lying.
Why, there? Aren't you forgetting Savage?
Ten, Savage.
You got a point there.
Judd, you spent part of the night looking into Lawton's background. Did you find anything that'll help me?
Yeah? He was quite a hot shot. Had mediocre jobs, got married, had a kid. A boy, about 15 years old now. Goes to Martinvale Military Academy.
Well, then the woman that we're going to see isn't the mother of Lawton's boy.
No. She's supposed to be a young chick.
I see.
The kid, Lawton's son. He's the one I really feel sorry for.
Yes, I know.
He idolized his old man. Marty, when you were in with Savage, Levis was going over some personal effects that were removed from Lawton's pocket.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things was a letter from his kid. It'll be printed in our morning edition. I didn't like it, Marty.
You didn't like it? Why?
I didn't want to print it, but the city desk insisted. It was like putting the heart of a 15-year-old kid on public view.
Why, Jeb? What did it say?
Dear Pop, and a lot of stuff about school. And then the kid wrote something about the basketball scandals and investigations. He said if he ever amounted to anything as a player, he'd play the game straight, the way his father did. I'm glad I won't have to be there when he learns the truth.
Yeah. See, so that's why Lawton didn't go to the police, even though he knew he was going to be murdered.
What are you driving at, Marty?
He was tired, Judd, just as I said. He was tired of cheating and running. He didn't want to live to face the disgrace that was catching up with him.
Or to face his kid, I guess.
And somebody knew that he was going to tell Savage the truth. And they knew the only way they could stop him would be to kill him.
And make Savage the pigeon.
And destroy the value of his word at the same time, so that even if he knew anything, nobody would believe him.
But, Marty, who did it?
Well, there are two people who can tell us that. Dan Gilbert and Mrs. Lawton. If they didn't know, they wouldn't be lying Jeff Savage into a death sentence.
So you think I'm lying, Miss Bryant?
To be brief and indelicate, yes, Mrs. Lawton.
I'm heartbroken.
Jeff Savage has described this living room perfectly, and he described you. And how could he do that if he'd never been here, if he'd never seen you before?
You ever read the Ideal Home magazine, Miss Bryant?
What's that got to do with anything?
Nothing. Except that a recent issue carried complete photographs of this house, inside and out. And I appeared in several of those photographs. It doesn't seem to make you very happy, Miss Bryant.
Mrs. Lawton, you didn't know that your husband was fixing basketball games?
Sports bore me.
You mean to say you don't know anything about where his money came from?
As long as I had enough of it, I didn't care.
You don't even seem to care about your husband being dead.
Does that constitute a crime? Now, look, I've been as patient and as pleasant as I intend to be. I don't have to mourn Frank Lawton. I was never in love with him, and he knew it. He got a young wife in exchange for what he could give her. That was the bargain. He's dead, and the bargain is over. And so is this little interview.
Come on, Marty. The air will be fresher outside.
All right. Oh, Mrs. Lawton, one thing I forgot. Do you know a Dan Gilbert?
No.
Well, that's good. Because people you don't know can never incriminate you in anything.
What do you mean by that?
The police aren't quite sure that Jeff Savage is lying. They're sort of checking up on Dan Gilbert, that's all. Come on, Judd.
Right. Marty, what was the idea of that? You know the police don't suspect Gilbert.
I know it, but she doesn't. I wanted to make her nervous. A nervous opponent is always vulnerable.
If you can force her into the open.
Well, I'll need your help. And the help of Lieutenant Levis. I want to know all about Mrs. Lawton, Judd. All about her and Dan Gilbert. From the very day they were born.
Hi, Miss Bryant.
Oh, hello, Lieutenant. I almost fell asleep.
I got a few things that may wake you up.
Just like what?
Well, reports on Dan Gilbert. Comes from a poor family, live in Arizona, hasn't even written to him the last 4 or 5 years.
Oh? What's this? Here, this about bank deposits.
He's got accounts all over town, a couple of hundred in each bank, but with 14 bank accounts, it adds up to a handy sum.
Uh-huh. When did he start making these deposits?
Right after the start of the basketball season.
Oh. Has he been working any place in his spare time?
Not lately. But he had been working in a sign shop to pay his way through school, up until the time these bank deposits started. Then he quit.
Well, I hope you see what that means, Lieutenant.
It could mean he was in on those fixed games. But that won't prove murder. There's still that knife. But I got a hunch that might pay off on it.
What sort of hunch?
Sign shops, like the one Gilbert worked in, sometimes do work in wood. Letters that are carved in. I'm kind of curious to see how Gilbert carved the letters J and S, if he ever did.
And if he did, you could compare his letters with the ones on that knife.
I got a man checking right now. The knife is common enough, sold in any sports store. Anybody could have bought it.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, what are you doing with my girl? All alone in here, Ed?
Just letting her convince me that Jeff Savage may not be as guilty as he seems to be.
Maybe I can help that along, too.
Why, what'd you get, Jeff?
Check the Hall of Records. Mrs. Wanda Lawton, nay Wanda Brent, is a sister of Harvey Brent.
The bookmaker?
That's right, Ed.
Oh, and she's the little girl who didn't know anything about sports or gambling.
You found a sign you're going to love, Miss Bryant. And the letters in it were carved by Dan Gilbert. It was made for a doctor, J.S. Simmons. And my man says the J and S look like the ones on the knife.
You're going to be able to crack this, Ed?
I don't know. It's all circumstantial unless we can hook it together.
Yeah, but I think I know a way that can be done.
How?
Well, it's up to you, Judd. I'm going to ask you to risk your job.
My job?
Yeah. Because I want you to print a story before it happens. And I want you to do it knowing that it might not happen.
Marty, that's a little unethical.
I know it is, Judd, but it may save a man's life because Jeff Savage can still be convicted unless another arrest is made.
All right, Marty. What do you want?
Well, I'll write it out for you. Oh, what time does the next edition hit the streets?
About 6 o'clock tonight.
Yeah. Is there a newsstand near here?
Yeah, right at the entrance.
Oh, wonderful. At 5:30, Lieutenant, I'd like you to phone Dan Gilbert and Mrs. Lawton. Ask them to drop by here. Just a routine identification thing. Now, they're both smart enough to be avoiding each other, so they'll come separately. And by the time they get here, I want the newsboy with the loudest voice in town right downstairs, screaming the headline Judd will write.
Hey, Clay-Caught and murder case. One confesses, accomplice sought.
I came in and gave myself up voluntarily. Remember that. Because I heard that newspaper boy, and I saw the story before I walked in here, and I could have gotten away. Remember that.
We'll remember it, Mrs. Lawton.
Maybe Gilbert thought he was going to save himself with a confession and pin it all on me. I had nothing to do with the killing.
But you knew about it.
Well, sure I knew about it. But I wasn't there when it happened.
Can you prove where you were?
You bet I can. Through your client, Jeff Savage. He's my alibi. He was at the house like he said. Now, I'm not lying now. If Gilbert's going to the electric chair, I'm not going to be sitting in his lap. He used that knife all by his lonesome.
You know the one who plans the killing is just as guilty as the one who actually commits the murder.
I didn't plan it.
Maybe Gilbert doesn't agree with that.
I don't care what he said. I'm saving me. Harvey Brent, my brother, he's behind all this. Well, it was even his idea for me to marry Frank in the beginning so we could use him as a fixer.
You get that, Lieutenant?
Yeah, I got it, and so did the dictograph. Hello, let me through the radio division. Hello, Lieutenant Levis. Put out a general pickup for Harvey Brent. I'll have your statement typed. You can sign it later, Mrs. Lawton.
You bet I'll sign
You
it.
can go out that door. The police matron's waiting.
There's just one thing I wish I could see. I'd like to see Gilbert's face when he hears my side of the story.
I'd like to see her face when she finds out we haven't heard Gilbert's side of the story yet.
I think we'll hear it soon, Miss Bryant. You set a mighty neat trap.
I don't know, Lieutenant. Gilbert should have been here by now.
Ed, quick. I just drove up and saw Gilbert at the corner. He took one look at that headline and
Oh. Take it easy, Joe. I got the whole area staked out. He won't get 2 blocks.
Mrs. Lawton just went out, Jack. We've got a full confession.
Oh, that's swell, Marty.
Lieutenant, will you arrange a release order for Jeff Savage?
You bet. And now that your job is done, young lady, home you go.
My job isn't done, Judge. Not yet.
What?
I've got one plea to make to what might be a very tough jury.
What jury and where?
At the Martindale Military Academy. 15-year-old boy. Frank Lawton, Jr.
I don't want to hear about it. I don't want to hear anything about my father ever again.
Not even the truth?
I know the truth. He lied to me. All my life he told me to play fair and be honest. And all the time...
All the time he believed exactly what he told you.
You expect me to believe that?
Yes, Frank, I do. Because I can prove it to you. What your father did hurt him more than you'll ever know. And he was going to stop it. He was going to tell Jeff Savage about the whole rotten business, even though he knew he was going to be murdered.
He was going to tell because he knew he was caught, that's why.
No, that isn't why. Because he wasn't caught, Frank. Your father was sick and tired of it. And you helped with that. The last thing he thought of must have been you. Because your last letter to him was in his pocket. A letter telling him how proud you were of him. And that shamed him more than anything else in the world.
But he took money.
Yes, he did. He took money. But how much do you want a man to pay, Frank? Your father died an honest man. To be honest, all the time, even when there's nothing to fear, that takes a great deal of courage, doesn't it? But to be dishonest, and then to tell the truth for a chance to clear the books, that requires even more courage. He did it for you, Frank. That was the only way your father had left to show you that he loved you. And that he wanted you to be all the things that he'd failed to be. The funeral is tomorrow, Frank, and the headmaster tells me that you don't want to go.
I do want to go. I want to go.
All right. You better get some clothes together then. I have a friend outside, and we'll drive you back with us. I'll wait.
How was he, Marty?
Tough case, Judd. But we won. And now, I guess, the defense rests.
You have just heard Defense Attorneys starring Mercedes McCambridge with Howard Culver as Judd. Defense Attorney was written by Joel Murcott. The program is directed by Dwight Hauser. Next week, another exciting adventure with Mercedes McCambridge, Defense Attorney. Be sure to stay tuned to ABC for... McCambridge has been chosen to address the first annual convention of legal secretaries in Long Beach, July the 19th. She was chosen for her fine portrayal as defense attorney and her keen interest in the legal profession.
This program came to you transcribed from Hollywood. This is the American Broadcasting Company.